they really, really, really want to use their AI.
Really, really.
That's how they make their money, scraping your data.
Exactly. Okay.
What time is the game in Susanville? Could be too.
The game's at 6. I gotta be over there by 5. So I just gotta be back over on the other side of the hill. And then having my rec folks are having a luncheon, so I'm gonna swing by there before I
Oh,
leave
okay.
town.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We're still filtering. Guest. Guest. Okay. All right. We're looks like we're at roughly 5 after. We'll go ahead and get this meeting started. Welcome and Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome to the January 16th, 2026 general meeting of the Trinity County Collaborative Group. We will go ahead and do a roll call and ask for proxies. We'll start in the room. My name is Kelly Sheen. I'm the Executive Director for the Trinity County Resource Conservation District and co-facilitator for the Trinity County Collaborative Group. I will hand to my right.
Good morning, everyone. Jim Spear, co-facilitator for the collaborative group.
Good morning, Tara Jones, District Ranger, west side of the Shasta Trinity National Forest.
Pat Frost, North Lake resident and CSD board member.
Jill Cox, Board of Supervisors.
Gracie Nolinsky, TCRCD's Fuels Program Manager.
Hi, Laura Broadhead, BLM Reading, Acting Field Manager.
Carol Fall, also North Lake resident.
Great, and that's everybody in the room. So I will go now to the big board, read them off as I see them. Ross.
Yes, Ross is here.
Oh, is Susan with you?
She's not with me at the moment. She may be.
Okay, very good. Thanks for joining us, Ross. Tuli.
Hello, I'm Julie Potts. I'm with the State of California Sierra Nevada Conservancy.
Thanks for joining us, Tuli. Susan and Joseph.
Collaborative member Joseph here.
And Susan, good morning.
Thanks for joining us, Susan and Joseph. Do I see listed as Joe Miller, but it looks more like
Tyler.
Tyler.
Hey, this is Brian Taylor. They're having audio video issues over there. Actually, more audio, not the video. So they're got Joe, Tyler, Rand, and Brian are with Trinity River Lumber Company.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Brian. Let's see, Bob.
Good morning, Bob Morris, Collaborative member, and I don't know why I have a green screen. Does it look green to you?
No.
You guys here? Side. Nope. Well, thanks for joining us, Bob.
Yep.
It's not St. Patrick's Day, is it?
Not yet.
A little yellowish, if anything.
Yeah. That beautiful sunlight pouring through the window.
I did for a second.
Oh.
Nice.
Arnold.
Vicarage, here in my box, collaborative member.
Very good. Thanks, Arnold. Keith.
I don't know about that sweatshirt he's wearing.
He's muted.
It's a Seahawks sweatshirt.
Muted still there, Keith.
Here we go. Now we got it.
Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
Keith Greenwood, Sierra Pacific, Weaverville District Manager.
Tara's not sure about your
Sweatshirt.
sweatshirt.
Yeah,
There you go. Come on. Come
Stand
on
up so you can see it better.
Make it
There
traveling.
you go.
Oh, my word.
I know.
I didn't know it was team day. I would have dressed differently.
Well, and just so you know, Bob, the green screen is, I don't know if you've watched any movies on how they're made. So that's so we can Photoshop your image into a variety of backgrounds.
AI.
Jumping off a cliff.
Yeah,
AI simulating Bob.
There you go.
doing backflips.
Very good. Awesome. Thanks, Keith. Jerry.
Good morning, everybody. Jerry Cousins, Collaborative member.
Right on. Thank you, Jerry. Chris Cole.
Hi, this is Chris Cole. I'm the district conservationist for the Natural Resource Conservation Service for Trinity County.
Thanks for joining us, Chris. Let's see, Amelia.
Good morning, Amelia Flights, Fisheries for the United States Forest Service with the Shasta Trinity National Forest.
Thanks for joining us, Amelia. Larry.
Larry Glass, representing SAFE, NEC, and Sierra Club.
Thanks for joining us, Larry. Jen Jones.
Hi there. Let's see if this works. Okay, Jen Jones. It looks like my video's not working, but Jen Jones with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Oh, there I am.
There you are.
Hey, my first time one of these meetings. I'm sitting in for Christine Jordan, who's out in the field today, but I'm happy to finally be able to participate. I'll probably be on my phone, so I'll be off camera.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us, Jen.
Thank you.
Let's see. Moving on. Skylar.
Hello, this is Skylar Fisher, Trinity County Fire Safe Council Coordinator with the Trinity County RCD.
Thanks for joining us, Skylar. Shay.
This is Shay Callahan, Assistant Director of Forestry and Fuels at the Watershed Center.
Thanks for joining us, Shay. Kenneth. Kenneth Baldwin, are you muted?
Putting a bathrobe on.
Putting a bathrobe on.
Technology's brutal.
No, I did what it says you can do by pushing down your space bar, but it didn't unmute me. Anyway, Kenneth Baldwin, Collaborative member, and my morning hair seems to have disabled my camera.
Very good. Thanks, Kenneth. Okay, let's see. Devin with U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Hi all, Devin DeJacpo, wildlife biologist with U.S. Fish and Wildlife here at the Wairika office.
Very good. Thank you for joining us, Devin. Xander.
And I'll be back. Okay, get the leaf opening.
Xander Winter, forester at the Watershed.
In front of the garage. I thought I put
No
it.
future, Kenneth. Okay, sorry, Xander, could you repeat?
Sure thing. Morning, everyone. I'm Xander Winter. I'm a forester at the Watershed Center.
Great. Thanks for joining us, Xander. Heidi.
Hi, everyone. Heidi Carpenter Harris, Trinity County Board of Supervisors.
Thanks for joining us, Heidi. And I believe that the last individual that we have is logged in through the phone. And if I recognize that number, it might be Tom Waltz.
Yes, indeed. Walking in the beautiful sunshine, listening to beautiful voices.
Thanks.
Wow.
Wow.
So him. Doing something wrong.
Thank you for joining us, Tom. And did I miss anyone? I believe I got everybody. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Any proxies today? I don't know if we have any votes, but do we have any proxies? Okay, hearing none, I will go ahead and hand it over to Jim.
Thank you, Kelly. Good morning once again, everyone. Great turnout. Wow. And we have a very full agenda. You've probably noticed on that agenda that we pushed out our ending time a little bit. So hopefully you can be patient with us today as we try to work through everything. So as we get started here, let's just do an agenda check. We did kind of move things around, added a couple of things, but any issues, questions with our agenda that we've got before you this morning?
No, but I noticed the Six Rivers is missing.
Yeah, I did receive a message late yesterday from Kristen Lark, which I have a report out, and we can read that off when we get to her slot.
Okay, looks like we're good with the agenda. Any comments, questions on the minutes or collective memory from our November 21st meeting?
One from Arnold.
Yeah, Arnold, go ahead.
The first page mentions that Cody was going to send Kelly a map of showing the two projects on top of South Fork Mountain side by side, and I'm wondering if that happened, and did Kelly send it out, and did I miss it or what?
I don't believe that I saw that, and thank you for pointing that out. I hadn't actually gotten through all the minutes, but I did not see that.
When I'll send it again, because I sent it a long time ago, the first time they asked. Back in October, the day that we were on there. But if you don't have it, I will send it again.
I'll double check and I'll get back to you. My apologies. I don't recall having seen that, but I'll double check, and if I can, I'll get it out.
Okay, but if you don't have it, and let me know, and I'll send it again.
Okay.
Thank you, Arnold.
Yep. My apologies.
Okay, any other questions, comments on the collective memory minutes from 11/21? Okay, not seeing any. Moving on, public input. We've got a lot of participants today, but probably no public. All right, so first up, we've got our fuel break work group report. Who wants to lead that discussion representing the fuel break working group? I know you guys sent out something. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to read that. Does anybody not have a copy of it?
So several collaborative members have visited primarily the Rainier Road operation. Some of those members were part of the small group, and there was questions and some concerns. So the small group convened and kind of just reviewed things. And as part of that process, we sent out a paper with just a reflection of the conversation that was had about that. It's not meant as anything to be approved or to, it's just meant as a foundation for more conversations. So that's kind of the overview of what we want to do today. So.
Yeah, Jerry, I also noticed that there's a report from Kenneth.
Yep. Yes.
Was that commissioned by the working group, or what's the context there?
Well, we had a field trip to Hayward Campground, and Kenneth and Margaret showed up, and Kenneth said he was going to go up there and take some real data readings. So we had a foundation of information. So, and he submitted that.
But the header suggests it's a Rainier Road fuel break inventory. Is it a Rainier Road fuel break inventory, or is it Hayward Flat inventory?
No, it's Rainier Road.
Okay, I thought I heard Hayward Flat. Okay, very good. Anybody else? Okay, well, no further discussion.
Arnold could say something.
Okay, Arnold.
I think we have a number of us have a little trouble getting our head around the project and the situation, because I don't think any of us have actually seen the prescription for the project on a piece of paper. And I don't think any of us really know what um, if the problems that some people noticed or feel are there are attributable to the prescription or specific contract language, which we also haven't seen, or uh, insufficient briefing of the sale administrator, or a rogue logger, or what. So it's kind of hard for any of us to grapple with it and draw the correct lessons, because we don't know. And at this time, we have a little trouble getting some information, or conversing with the Forest Service, for instance, because of the lawsuit. Um, I'm a little confused about the level and extent and completeness of the Fish and Wildlife Service consultation for these projects. I've understood some people to say that there's been some Fish and Wildlife Service input, and it's been considered, and the projects have been adjusted accordingly. But I don't I don't know that amounts to a full consultation or regular consultation, and so um, I'm just alerting the group or this meeting that some of us feel that there's possible problems on the project, on the Rainier Road project. Less problems have been noted on the Long Canyon side of the project, or Long Canyon partner project, whatever you call it. But it's just it's hard to analyze right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arnold.
I can say that all the contractual documents were available publicly online, and I know people were able to get those. So all of that was available on our website.
Did it have the prescription? Because when I
remember the sail area map has the habitat typing and the basal area prescriptions per habitat type on the sail area map, which is again public facing.
Okay. Any other discussion, comments?
So the prescription though is just in the table, is what you're saying?
The basal area is the designation by prescription is also part of the timber sale contract.
Okay, because I printed out the table, but that's just okay.
Any other questions, comments?
I have one on the Forest Service structure. So Tara, when the contract is written and then handed off to the sale administrator, your oversight and responsibility is kind of over then? It goes to the sale administrator, is that right?
The implementation of the timber sale contract is covered by a timber sale contracting officer. The prep of the contract that stayed with me. But yes, once the contract is awarded, the implementation of the contract, that delegation comes from the regional forester, well, when we used to have one, to the timber sale contracting officer, who's responsible for everything contractually. The district manager doesn't have authority under the contract.
So over time, you were and many of your staff were closely involved in developing the white paper on forest management that went before the Board of Supervisors.
Yes.
So how about the sale administrator? Does that person know about it, understand it, has been reviewed with that person?
Our timber staff has gone over it, and the white paper itself, and recently the entire white paper has been shared with the entire staff on the west side. So
that's a yes to the sale administrator?
The sale administrators don't work for me. They work out of the SO for the contracting officer.
Okay, so is there an opportunity for someone to share the concepts of the white paper with the sale administrator?
Yes, absolutely. And I would go one further and say that I will start inviting the timber sale contracting officer to attend our field trips as well.
Are there several sale administrators or just one? How many? I mean,
So our cell administration staff works across the forest. We have one that and some harvest inspectors that work out of the Weaverville side.
Okay.
But that's why our cell admin staff is managed out of the SO because as you can imagine, the workload fluctuates throughout the season. You can do winter logging in McLeod, so there's a lot of work that goes on there and usually not a lot here. So we can bounce people around that way and address the forest as a whole. So there are on the forest, I think four positions, and our Forest Service representative position is currently vacant. So it's this timber sale contracting officer, then the FSR, then the sale administrators, then the harvest inspectors contractually in their authority.
So inviting a sale administrator, which doesn't work under you, is it likely that they will show up or be asked to show up by their supervisor for field trips?
Yeah, specifically, I'll have the CO come because that's who oversees them. But then it depends on their workload. Like we can't delay operations on a timber sale, otherwise we're liable for a claim. But if they know well in advance, and we can definitely invite them. And knowing the timber sale contracting officer, I'm sure that would be supported as long as their workload allows for them to have a day in the woods, not doing their regular job. But I can certainly invite the timber sale CO and the sale administrator. And I think that's a great idea. So thanks for bringing it up.
So I'm not sure if it fits in this part of the agenda, but Kenneth, can you did you do the whole road, or can you tell me where your measurements were taken? Were they taken where it was outside of the owl habitat and it was the 60 square foot basal area prescription versus the higher basal area prescriptions?
Well, I can't tell you that because I didn't have a map. I drove up from Mule Creek Station. I drove up from the south, and when I hit the area with that big landing that's off the road with a big pile of treetops, that's where I started, and I worked north all the way up to the where the road flattens off, and there's another big pile of treetops on the east side of Rainier Road, and also some logs. So, and then, I'd gone up there last week and looked at it, and there'd been no falling of trees on the east side of the road, but they were operating there. They had felled a lot of the trees, and they had their equipment out. I met a harvest inspector. I think his name was Charlie, and talked with him. He told me I couldn't be there, and I said, well, I talked with Tara, and she said I could work on this other side of the road. And he said, oh, okay. So that's where I did my work, and I went out there because in this Zoom meeting we had on Monday, I heard a lot of negativity about the work, and I just wanted to do a reality check for myself to see, if the work fit in with the intent of our white paper, and so that was my motivation to go out there.
And Kenneth, maybe you could just do a brief conclusion here, your last paragraph there.
But Kenneth, I don't think you went far enough. I think you had to go more towards Long Canyon to get, based on the map, to get out of the 140 to 180 square foot basal area up down to the 60 square foot basal area. So anyway, it might be something worthwhile doing the whole road, not just coming from the south and stopping.
Well, as I say, I didn't have a map. I've never seen a map of that steel break, and I did go out on last Friday, when I initially looked at it, and I drove up all the way up the road going to the Long Canyon trailhead, and I drove the whole road down coming down Long Canyon.
So again, Kenneth, would it be beneficial to at least share your conclusions here, just for the good of getting everyone on the same page in terms of what you found out there?
Well, we have
Well,
the
it's in
document.
that, yeah, I think the document is sufficient for that. I mean, I think the fuel break met the intent of our white paper. So that, in a nutshell, that's my conclusion.
Very good. All right. Any other questions, comments?
One more for me. Arnold mentioned about the consultation with Fish and Wildlife. So I'm wondering what your sense is, David. Was there a sufficient consultation, or was it just kind of a general overview of the whole North Lake project? Was it specific to this the Rainier Road Long Canyon operation?
Who was that directed to, Jerry?
David.
Devin.
Devin. Okay, there we go.
Oh, Devin, sorry.
No problem. Yeah, so we've been in early streamlining with the forest for well over a year now on the greater North Trinity County project, which has been going very well, I think. We've had some really good discussions with their biologists and silviculturists. They've been amenable to a lot of our suggestions. But that is still quite a ways away from being even initiated as consultation, let alone complete. We don't have a BA and don't expect to for a few months. We've seen what their biologists expect is a final map or close to. Same thing with prescriptions. We got those recently after these 2 timber sales. For the smaller project they're in, the sale of Rainier Road and Long Canyon, the forest initiated emergency consultation. So, the action sort of precedes the actual consultation there. So we are still waiting for a map, a set of prescriptions, etc. on that. But we did get the sort of initiation of emergency consultation there.
Recently.
Who's that?
Well, we got the initiation of emergency consultation before the sale was completed, but are still awaiting the information needed to actually complete the consultation.
All right, thank you, Devin.
When the sale started, remember Fish and Wildlife Service was 100% furloughed. So
yeah,
the timing kind of in line too.
All right, any other questions, comments?
Yeah, Jim, this is Tom Waltz.
Yeah, Tom, go ahead.
If I could ask a question, Tara, I understand because of the lawsuit, you can't really comment on the specifics of that timber sale. But after you reviewed the paper that we or notes that we sent out, and one of the concerns was the idea that can a harvest by or designation by prescription meet the intent of the white paper, since we don't specify basal area. Is that the best methodology in a designation by prescription to meet the intent of the white paper? That was kind of the drift of the conversation, was that we had noticed that where a marking crew had done the marking, that it seemed like the trees that were chosen met the white paper intent, whereas the designation by prescription using basal area might not have truly been picking the types of trees that we talk about when we're out on a field trip. So are you able to comment on that at all?
I can say generally, I think a designation by prescription is more challenging that it takes a little bit, as you know, when you're doing any cutting, it takes a little bit or marking, it takes a little bit to get a handle on the prescription. It is more challenging, but keep in mind the time the time savings for implementing using designation by prescription, and the cost savings is considerable. For many, many years, we heard complaints from folks that going out to the woods and being, getting an onslaught of paint in your eye, whether it was leaf tree or cut tree, was not something that our forest visitors wanted either. So I think it's more challenging, Tom. I think that's a fair statement. It takes, I have had to assign multiple people. Charlie's normal job is not harvest inspector. He's one of my prep foresters. So the trade-off was, instead of having a whole marking crew go out through the stand, we pulled people off who would normally be doing other work and tied them to the timber sale to make sure we worked with the purchaser to get them on the right track. I would say that part of it is more challenging. That's the negative side, and on the positive side, it significantly reduces costs to the government and expedites implementation.
Okay, I think Keith, did you have your hand up?
I'm gonna unmute now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just I appreciate Kenneth biting his tongue there a little bit and trying not to represent the work group any more than we did in a summary written up and reviewed by the group and written by Tom. But I think that the conversation was lively and it was exciting at the beginning. And I want to commend Jerry for pulling it together and having people come out at the end, not with agreement, but at least with a summary that we can bring back to the larger group in a fashion that is more unified than we started with, and also trying to be constructive so that we can move forward rather than stop. So I just wanted to commend everybody who participated because it was well done. And Kenneth for going out there and actually putting some numbers together. It's not answering all the questions, but I think a lot of the questions and observations were well documented. And I want to just thank Jerry especially for that.
Thank you, Keith.
I can speak to the hardwoods piece a little bit. I just hope within the group that the folks that were representing the industry can tell you some of the challenges with using mechanized equipment with hardwoods and having a skid trail. And because of the way hardwoods kind of go up and lay over the skid trail, I don't think that we've ever said we're not going to cut any hardwoods. Sometimes they're necessary to be cut to facilitate operations. We're not aiming at them. They're not included product, but occasionally, and I can't speak to these ones because I haven't seen the specific, I can only speak to, my past experience as a sale administrator. Occasionally, they make harvesting very difficult because of the nature of an oak tree and the way large limbs go out over your skid trails and things. So I see that there and I'm concerned about it, but I know there's some of those. So I don't think we said that no hardwoods would ever be harvested or cut. It's not like we're putting them on a truck. So anyway, just wanted to mention that hardwoods they're hard to work around sometimes.
Thank you, Tara.
So,
question.
Kelly described moving this item up the agenda because it's the elephant in the room. So I want to just put out the elephant within the elephant in the room, and that's going ahead with these sales without NEPA being completed, and what that means. So if somebody would weigh in on that, that would help everyone understand.
Anyone want to tackle that one?
I can only tell you that we're using an authority that's authorized, the emergency authority, and that's all I can say. I can't get into merits of the case or anything else.
All right.
Which is the same authority that I mentioned on our field trip prior to the sales being advertised. Just to be clear.
Any other questions, comments? Just a reminder, we do have a very robust agenda. Joseph. Or Susan?
Well, again, I want to bring up an issue that we have talked about time and again, and that is using canopy closure versus basal area. I don't believe that basal area is ever going to achieve what we want to see in the cutting of the forest. So again, I'm going to request that you express the specifications as canopy closure. If you need basal area, put it in there, but the overriding thing needs to be canopy closure. That has been the basis of the collaborative's work ever since the beginning, all the way back to the pilot project and every project since then. We have requested that you express the canopy closure in the specifications. I still don't see it.
So Joseph, you're right. And we did put in the prescription itself in this contract, it has the basal area and the minimum canopy. Like you can't drop below this canopy, with the exception of in the either non-habitat or dispersal. That was the one place it didn't show up. But in the others, we specifically added, here's your basal area and here's your minimum canopy into the prescription. So the miscommunication came with the areas that weren't NERF, that weren't nesting, roosting, or foraging habitat. And that we just don't normally talk about those things because we typically go to the most controversial areas. And when we're talking in habitat, that translates really well. But we did not have a minimum canopy requirement in the non-nesting, roosting, foraging habitat. So we can work through that together on the Big Ranch project. And Cody and I have been talking about how to best represent the white paper and the values into the Big Ranch project. So I'm looking forward to getting that right in the Big Ranch project and going through that draft with you guys extensively. So sign up for a long day that day when we go through the draft of Big Ranch, the EA.
Okay, we've got Larry. Larry, get your hand up.
I do. I don't want this discussion to end without registering my complete dissatisfaction with how this process has worked. I remain committed to trying to work with the Field Break Work Group and the collaborative as a whole, but I feel like the whole process completely broke down here. And hopefully we can get back out in the field and begin to agree on the same terminology representing what one person's seeing versus what another person's seeing. Because if Kenneth Baldwin can go to that site and say that it met the objectives of the white paper, we're just not in the same universe. So I'm still very concerned about what's going on, and I hope that it doesn't permanently damage our ability to work together.
All right, thank you, Larry. Any other?
Yeah, I've got a comment. Larry, that's one of the reasons I went out there to get some data, because I was hearing things that in our meeting that I wasn't seeing out in the woods, and I wanted to get some real life information, basically about crown closure and the size of the trees that were being cut, and a few things, so that I could get a reality check for myself. So I think going out there, all of us together and looking at it, and I think and talking about this and actually seeing what we're seeing, I much prefer doing that than sitting in a Zoom meeting and trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
I would just say that, Larry, one, I heard you made it out to the woods, so that's good news. I'm glad you're out and being able to get outside again. Missed having you on some of the field trips. And secondly, going through all of this, I have told Kelly and Jim, I am more committed than ever to over communicating with this group. And if we have to really get down in the weeds and make sure we all understand each and everything we're talking about and eliminate some assumptions of what we think, how we interpret the white paper. But I will say that, and I said this on the field trip to Hayward as well, we're going to have we've gone from doing very, very little and hyper-focused on projects that took 10 years to implement to doing more. And there are different ways to do things now. And I don't want to get into this authority or that authority, but we're going to have to over communicate. We won't be able to do things the way we've been doing them, I think, and meet the level of understanding between your own groups and between the agencies, at least between the Forest Service. When I get to my report out, there's a lot going on. And it's going to be easy for me to not communicate something or for there to be some confusion. My phone number is always available. If you have a question about something or you don't like something, please call. Let's get out in the woods. Let's go look at it. My staff and I've told them the same thing. As a matter of fact, what my take on Big Ranch is when we don't, per the new regulations, we've done our public comment period, but we're going to do another comment period on the draft, and I want to sit down with the collaborative, get it to you ahead of time, then sit down with you, whether it takes 2 hours, 6 hours, or 12 hours, and go through the draft so that when we leave that table, there's an understanding of what we're all talking about. We all have a good vision. Now, you won't see that on every single acre. There's always going to be little blips. It's the forest for the trees. But I think that just where we are in this point of time in going from doing very little, very slowly, we did both. We did very little and we did very, very slowly, to starting to do more, making sure that we're doing the right things and having these checks and balances. I'm committed to, working with you guys even more, much more often, more field trips, more whatever. Because this is not comfortable for any of us. And I want us to get back to all pulling the same direction with a common understanding. So that's my goal and that's my commitment. You guys call me. I need to go, Tara, I'm not happy with this. I want to go look at this with you. Let's go look at it. It's a little different. We're under litigation because obviously it's being litigated and I can't really comment much on that. But for anything else, please just call me and let's go figure it out.
Thank you, Tara.
Yeah.
Bob.
So I strongly feel that the only hope we have for consensus moving forward is to have the collaborative meet with Tara and whoever else from the agency in the field when this is done. It can't go forward without doing that. I just don't see any other path. I think that's where we're going to hopefully mend some of this and hopefully move forward. So
thank you, Bob.
Yep.
Hey, Bob, would you be just a little more clear on your expectation of meeting out in the field, what you're expecting there?
So not the roadside service work, I guess you'd call it, but the 2 timber sale portions, as soon as they're done and weather permitting, having whoever from the collaborative wants to go out and Tara and whoever else from her staff to meet on site instead of trying to do this over a Zoom conversation. It's never going to be as productive as meeting out in the field.
So kind of an after action meeting?
Yeah, as soon as possible after the timber sale portion is complete, weather permitting.
Thanks.
All right, Carol.
So we seem to have mushed the work group report with the project update. Maybe not.
No way. You should see my project update.
No, the Rainier.
Just the Rainier.
Oh,
Canyon.
Copy.
So I had a different question when I did text you. So we saw all the gravel trucks headed north. Are they working on the road from Lake Forest to Rainier? And what's the plan for how loaded log trucks are gonna
Great
leave?
question. Yes, with using our good neighbor agreement and with the support of the county, we're rocking that road We had done a little bit of it, and we talked about this last Tuesday, and they have resumed now that the weather is better and it's more conducive. However, the haul route will remain down the county road. So the Forest Service will, that road already has some damage to it, but we will work with the county to leverage our Good Neighbor Agreement funds to repair any additional potholes and the existing potholes to make that road more, well, to make sure that we haven't negatively impacted that road. As far as safety goes, our folks are going to get with the county, determine their right-of-way easement, and we'll be out there daylighting the corners as much as we can and just do that work ourselves.
That's private property. How do you get permission to daylight it?
Again, it depends on the easement and the way it's written. So daylighting isn't, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about limbing some trees and to make sure people can see through the corner. So we'll see if we have the authority to do it. If possible, we'll and it makes sense and there's buy-in, we'll look at that as a possible solution. I would daylighting on corners is usually a good idea.
Okay, just for the collaborative, you know, so representing the fire department, you know, we're concerned about loaded log trucks coming down Lake Forest. It's very steep. There's a lot of houses right along the road. It is private property. In the past, the fire department has offered grants to people to do fuel reduction, and they've said, no, we want all our trees because of the privacy issues. And so I'm just expressing concern that that's a safety issue separate from all the kind of discussion about fuel reduction. It's just, I'm worried about not loaded log trucks coming down a narrow, twisty, windy road through a dense neighborhood.
So are we talking about the
saying.
same road, or are you talking about Long Canyon Road?
I'm talking about Long Canyon.
I'm talking about Lake Forest.
Yeah, I would imagine,
which is
would probably come around. Yeah, I was talking about Long Canyon Road. Sorry. I have to get with the purchaser and find out for sure which way they're hauling. I know that unit 1 up above that goes to the Long Canyon trailhead, that will come down the Long Canyon Road. I am not sure about the Lake Forest piece. I think I have to get with the contracting officer to see what the plan is for that.
Does the mill, I mean, I guess you're assuming you're coming down Lake Forest Road for the part that you're working on right now, Brian, or?
We are. We got one bit that we're going to be logging down Long Canyon. Most of it will be coming down Long Canyon, but there is one unit that is cut in on the ground that's above Lake Forest that will be coming down Lake Forest.
Okay, just so you know, we're worried about that. And I mean, yeah. Okay.
Also, want to thank on our field trip that day, when we went out to look at the emergency area, appreciated the input to get that road rocked that I heard from the collaborative, and like I said, was thankful that the money and was already invested with the county so we could make that happen, because that'll be a benefit to that community and for fire suppression long after anything that we're doing out there now. So I feel like that's a win for those communities.
Okay, anything else from
this is Kenneth. I'd like to put in my oar. On last Friday, I went up Lake Forest Drive and went up partway up into that new rock section, which is great. That's really, Tara, it's really great that you're doing that. But my feeling about the Lake Forest Drive, it's going through mostly a pole to small saw timber size stand of trees that are, the limbs are really up high. So I don't see it as obstructing visibility. I've done a lot of work in that community and next door on the Maxim place, and I believe that there's really good visibility for trucks to come down there, and it is steep, so they're going to have to be
breaking
in low gear.
Yeah, I apologize, Kenneth. When we were talking about visibility, I thought we were talking about the Long Canyon Road. So I apologize. My bad.
Okay, so your facilitator here, I just want to do a little agenda check. I know this is a very important issue, obviously, and hopefully everyone's had a chance to kind of get their thoughts out there. I did want to circle back, Tara, on Bob Morris's suggestion that after this, sale portion is completed, that maybe a field trip with you and the collaborative would be helpful. Is that something you could, sign on to? Or?
Yes, I just don't know. The only thing would make me hesitate is the status of the litigation. It may be long-going or ongoing. So other than that, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm committed to reviewing all the work we do. So far, we've been to Bowerman, we've been to Hayward. So it makes sense. We would go to this one next, and then we still have to get out to Pilot. Lastly, before we leave this topic, since it kind of meshed together, I will add that we've had our folks out there working, doing the fields work 7 days a week.
That looks great.
So
yeah.
We're not, I just want to be clear that it's not just the logging portion that's been underway, the 1,200 acres that was authorized, all of that work has been underway, and we've been having our folks out there doing it, so.
Yeah, you saw the track chipper just off of Highway 3 yesterday.
Yep.
Okay, we got a question from Bob. Get your hand up.
Right. So Tara, can you clarify? I understand as long as litigation is pending, you can't speak about that, but the litigation, my understanding, it has to do with NEPA and owls, not prescription. Can we have the prescription discussion with pending litigation on a different subject? Or do we have to wait for litigation to be over?
Hey, Bob, this is the
Yeah.
first time I've ever been sued in my life. So I have to check with all the attorneys and see. I don't even know. I'll check. I get what you're saying. If it's not about the authority and it's about something else, I'll see what I can talk about.
Thanks.
Yeah, so this is all a new world for me,
Okay.
and I'm trying to navigate it.
So that could clarify and expedite the process. So thank you for that.
Yep.
Okay, Jill, you've been very patient.
I just would like to toss into the conversation. This is very down into the weeds where it lives at this time because of what is going on. But I would like to just raise our sights and look back 5 years. When Tara first came onto this position, one of the very first things that she had to do was face an extremely, and rightfully so, frustrated community of folks who had just been burned out by the river complex activity. She wore a target that she did not deserve to have to wear because she didn't make the decisions that led to that outcome, but she wore it strongly. And she responded with a commitment to increase the safety of our communities. Following that, I received a request, a strong request from local industry. Please go make a good neighbor authority happen. And at that time, we did not have a natural resources division in the county. And so the county side of that government to government agreement had to, by default, then land at the Department of Transportation. It's because it sits in the Department of Transportation at this time that things like rocking of a road or repairs of a road that are going to get dinged up when we are cleaning up our forest and protecting our communities, those things then get to be fixed. I sat as an ad hoc of one and observed the entire process where Tara and Monique and Carrie and David Colbeck worked tenaciously, and there were multiple times when I thought this is right on the edge of falling apart. There's no way they're going to be able to find a nexus for the fuels reduction that was actually being sought to the roads that had to be included for Tara to repeatedly say, I have to pass the red face test when this goes to higher authority. And for that, I commend her tremendously. Because we have these things in place, and because we have, for the first time I've ever heard of, Forest Service workers who are 100% committed to the safety of our communities, that's why we sit where we do today. So if we move forward with something that is committed and tenacious and understanding that it's safety that we are after, would we rather be sitting here today saying, okay, going forward, how could we communicate better? Or going forward, how could we save a life? Which one would we rather be talking about? That is the county's perspective. I am sharing the county's administrative perspective and my personal perspective, and that is what I am putting into the atmosphere.
Thanks, Joe.
So thank you for the opportunity.
You bet. Okay, I
Here,
think.
here.
Pardon me. Who is that? Kenneth?
I was just saying, here.
Oh, very good. All right. I think we're going to try to call this a wrap on that agenda item. I suspect there'll be continued dialogue and discussion in other forms possibly, but I think we're going to call that one a wrap. Thank you all for your participation and contribution to that.
Is that item 1 we finally got through?
I think we got through item 1. Yeah.
Back.
Maybe one.
Back.
Maybe item 3.
Maybe item.
Okay, so just recognize we have a lot of agenda to get through already or remaining, so hopefully we can be expeditious. So we did have a field tour on the 14th of January at Hayward Flat. That was somewhat strategic, as you all recall, because that kind of was important to lead us into additional projects in the Trinity Camps arena, right? So who wants to share thoughts or comments on what Hayward Flat looked like and how that might influence, future projects in the Trinity Camps going forward?
Okay, I admit it looked a lot better than I thought.
Okay,
so-
here.
Major, let's go on.
I'm still whining from the camper perspective, but from the forest health perspective, I thought it looked really good. And yeah, good. It's a tough area, a campground to do work, but I think it'll be shadier than I thought it was. So thank you.
And I appreciate, I think it did work out well that, when we made the comment early after the initial mark that you went in and unmarked some of the trees. I think that made it look better.
I agree, and the collaborative's feedback helped us have a better product at the end. So I appreciate that level of collaboration.
But
and
the little
real time.
blue dots.
We're gonna get those. We'll get them.
I have my blue dot framed.
There you go.
Okay, any other input on Hayward Flat?
For those of you not on the field trip, we will be trying to see if we have the funds to bring in a grinder to address the slash so we don't have a great big burn pile and a big mess out there. We'll see if we have the money to do it, but that's the best treatment we could do out there, I think, is get that stuff ground.
One question I had after going to that field tour was there's kind of a lot of ancillary damage to like those little bumpers and things that are all those going to be replaced, or like how's the campground going to kind of be reformed prior to the season coming on in May?
Well, I won't say that we're going to get everything done before, because the biggest part is obviously all the slash work that needs to get done out there. But we'll get those fixed, and like I said, we're working on our campground by campground vision of what it should look like. But I do anticipate those will get fixed. And like I said, I came back and I've already talked to Cliff about that little amphitheater stage and making it, redoing that, making it a little bit bigger and a little nicer. And I also talked with Sally briefly about the history of our interpretive program out there. So I'd like to get that going again as well.
So Tara, do you think you have what you need to move forward with the other projects?
The other campground projects? Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And collaborative, we're on board with that? Yeah. Not seeing any knows, so we'll assume that's consensus. Okay, anything else on Hayward Flat? Very good. I think we got the Rainier Road Long Canyon update, right?
If you go back.
We don't want to go back. That door is closed.
Thanks.
All right, Golden Mussel update. Do we have a?
I believe I can report out. Anissa Interante gave us a report at the rec committee meeting last Friday. What I can report out is that our board, we had a roughly $90,000 award from California Department of Fish and Wildlife to acquire a decontamination trailer unit, and some of that funding will be for training the folks that will end up being using it. There's been some discussion about the deployment of it, but our board has authorized the purchase of that. It's now in the hopper and been ordered. We anticipate having the decontamination unit basically delivered in April timeframe, so just before we get into the serious part of the summer season. The intent, as I understand it, is to get a small location just off of Highway 3 at Osprey.
Osprey visitor area.
To actually do decontamination. And I think there's some coordination that we'll need to do for that. I understand there has to be some sort of small CE or something that some sort of
and a permit, a special use permit. And Amelia's on for us. She's my muscle. How's that?
There you go.
Amelia is my muscle.
Yeah. Do you want to
yes. Yeah, we are waiting for the submission of the 299 to be able to start the special use process from the RCD to the Forest Service so that we can get that moving forward. And yeah, it does take some hoops to jump through. So getting that started sooner than later would be beneficial, especially trying to make sure that we get it ahead of Memorial Day for the boating season. And yeah, we really look forward to working with the RCD, and Amber is super excited about working on education up at the lake and other items to expand our knowledge and protections for our lake, not just the decom station. But yeah, and that's Amber Mercado, who is our special uses manager for the lakes. So super excited and look forward to working collaboratively and moving forward with this.
Great, thank you, Amelia. Anissa had put in 3 other proposals for varying amounts and for varying kind of portions of like this overall project. One of which was through an additional ask through CDFW. That one was more about the educational component, which would have made it more of a regional program. That one was denied, unfortunately. But we do have 2 others, one through the Bureau of Reclamation, which is a significant ask for additional equipment and funding for trainings and actually I believe for running the decom unit. And then I think there was one through U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as well that was equally substantial. We have not heard about those 2 asks yet. So we are expecting, I think, BOR either later this month or early next month, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought Anissa said at the end of this month.
That's what I seem to recall. Yeah. So we'll
okay. Sorry to interrupt, but with the more equipment, that includes doing some of the no water cleaning stations at the boat ramps. Is that correct?
I can't speak with certainty to that. Okay. I was under the impression that there was I think what she was asking for was actually a separate decom unit for kind of each of the primary launch sites on the lake, but I could be wrong about that. I would need to double check.
Okay, yeah, based on my understanding that they're not decon stations, it's just meant to be a more gentle general cleaning. And so it's brushes and scrapers and those kinds of options that would be attached to the kiosk areas at the boat launch sites. And so that's a no water use cleaning system that can be utilized, and it's for more than just mussels. You can use it to get scum and that kind of stuff off the boats as well. But yeah, that sounds great. And I just want
to. What do you do? Scum. Make sure I get the note.
I want to just confirm. So you have the funding for the decon trailer, but you don't currently have funding to operate the trailer. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
We have funding to train individuals to utilize the trailer, but not really for like long-term operation.
Okay.
Is my understanding of that funding.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Can I ask, I read the forest order after the rec subcommittee, which was interesting to read, and it does include like it's whole forest wide. You kind of mentioned the one grant from CDFW would have been more region wide. I guess my question is there someone working on the Shasta side with like, is the Western Shasta RCD working on stuff, or are you guys really?
Not that we're aware of.
Okay. Just curious.
That was going to be something that we were kind of taking on, and it was literally going to be regional. Like it would have been everything from Del Norte down to like Lassen and like pretty much the whole of the north state. But that was to begin to bring people kind of up to speed on that need, kind of at a larger scale was the intent.
Okay.
But I don't know who else might be doing that.
Okay.
We're unaware, or I'm unaware of that.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions, comments on our mussel update? Not seeing any. Jerry, what's new with the wildfire camera?
Well, up until the Hayward field trip we just took day before yesterday, I've had absolutely no update on wildfire cameras for the last 4 months. But Tara has news, I think.
Yes, Ben is delivering to me the letter to the file to authorize for the draft for me to review so that we can get that sent off and get the permit request sent in. I still am under the Bonanza King.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
What about what's happening with the Ironside?
We're still that's a great question, Jerry.
Yeah.
Did I mention probably the staffing update I have is that my deputy district ranger is now a district ranger on a different district. I will get up to speed on what's going on with the Ironside one. I know we had worked through getting, I believe we had worked through getting the camera with our tribal partners. I will check on the status of both of those.
So going back into Bonanza King, so you're expecting to get the letter from Ben, and there's your expectation before the next collaborative meeting?
So it's the process, he gives you the letter to the file and then you apply for the special use permit?
No. So the letter to the file will cover all of the NEPA because the area's been heavily disturbed. It doesn't have, there's really no impacts. And so we have to document that. And then we can send the permit into the system. Last time it took a little bit longer than I expected. But I think that with the staff that we have, and I brought this to Rachel's attention, how long the permit process took last time. I think that we can shepherd it through the system a bit faster. The expectation that I've always been under is that we want to be able to put them in this field season, and that hasn't changed, has it? Get it in this field season?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I was asking because
That would be great. But once the letter comes in, then it has to go for archaeological review, right?
No, the letter to the file, we've already done, all of that's been done. Once we document that everything that needed to be done is done or doesn't have an impact, we can move right into the permit.
So I'm just trying to figure out when we ask the UC San Diego folks to come up and actually install the camera.
I have to get permit back.
And what time frame? Any idea when we would have that?
This field season. I'll make sure it goes in this field season. Is that June? I can't say it's June. It'll be this, what month is this? What day is this?
That's January.
Is it meeting over yet?
26th.
26th. Okay.
New year.
Thanks. So let's say I get it in 1st of February, and we submitted, we should have it back. I would say we should be able to get it authorized to go in before the end of July. That's probably.
Well, I mean, fire season starts,
Wait till I get to my
Memorial
permit of work.
Day.
I know it's not I will do the permit thing, we'll do our part, but it has to go because it's electronics. It just has this longer process that includes going all the way to the WO and back. Now, the Forest Service has been So the Forest Service has been streamlining some of these things and giving more authority back to the forest supervisors. So maybe the process has been streamlined some. With Rachel shepherding it, maybe I'll get it back sooner. We get snowed out of there until usually can't get in there in May. So you want it in there. What do you want, Carol? Let's just go with that.
Well, we've always talked about before fire season. So, I mean, Memorial Day is when we think fire season starts because that's when we start getting stupid people fires.
Okay, so you would like it in prior to June 1.
But that means letting UC San Diego know they got to get their guys up here, with the equipment. They have to send their crews.
I understand. And we've worked through this. We did get, I don't know how many cameras so far in the last few years. I think we're up 6 or 7 in the county.
But not through UC San Diego, and we also have to make sure they still have funding. Our conversation with, what was his name from?
Neil.
Yeah, he was great, but that's, what, a year and a half ago, a year?
Year ago.
Yeah, so we have to make sure they're still in play,
Right,
willing to play.
So not only do you want it this field season and you want it by June. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'll try to make that happen.
Who's the permit issued to? To the San Diego folks?
I think so, but
I mean, it's kind of seems like an important thing to know before you submit the application.
well, right. That's why we have to get the letter of the file and then we do the permit part. And again, this was the part that Ben was handling, and I'm still getting up to speed on.
But I was just going to say,
doing this
you
stuff.
need Jerry, Carol, and I to at some point be reaching back out to Neil.
Absolutely.
Do they, does the permit in their name, that kind of thing.
As soon as the letter, as soon as
let us know. Just let us know when we need to.
Okay, so by next week, I should have anything NEPA wise done, and then we can move on to the next step.
It was ski season last year when last talked.
Okay.
So it was a little hard to hear on this end, but so once you get the letter to file, you'll let us know, and then Pat, Carol, and I will talk to UC San Diego again and just make sure they're still available.
Yep. Also, I'll get the letter of the file. I'll get some advice from my special use permit people to know exactly what permit we're going to fill out and who's going to be on there, so that you have all the information to share with your UC San Diego people.
Great.
I should have the letter to the file by next week. And then I'll work with my permit people to get that prioritized.
And do you have the special use permits that you need for Ironside?
She had to.
Because
it's still being reviewed by archaeology, I'm told. Last I heard.
My notes say that Travis submitted the special use permit application.
Right.
And hasn't heard back.
Okay.
All right. Anything else on wildfire camera update? Thank you all for your efforts to make that a reality.
Yeah, it's we all use the system every time there's fires. Well, that's the first thing we all do is go click on those cameras. So they're incredibly important. And I know they've languished in the past for a really, really long time. And we've got some momentum and we want to keep it.
Right. Well, we started at 2, right? And we're,
working our way up.
Working our way up.
Jerry makes a good bird dog. He bird dogs me on these, so that's good.
All right, Jerry, anything else on that?
No, thanks.
All right, thank you. Minersville. All right. Well,
good news.
You just can't get off the hook, did you?
Good news, officially good news. So I can share with the rest of the group what we've already talked with the rec subcommittee about. One, the forest has a new engineer. I'm probably partial to her because she's a Bernie girl, but she does a great job. She worked here in the past as an intern. And she has definitely picked up the ball and is moving it down the field. We had a gap based on, we went back to the public, and there were some things that the public had concerns about that we incorporated into the plans. What do you know, when you make changes, it costs money. So we had over a $1.3 million shortfall. Which is okay. So we had a huge shortfall, and the Forest Service and has gone to other forests and snagged some money that maybe there was some savings somewhere else. And then Rachel Berkey has reprioritized money that has come into the forest for other projects to fund into Minersville. So some of those hard trade-offs she's made is the things like helipads that we would normally, that we'd use in a fire, are being delayed. So there's been some trade-offs, some difficult decisions to be made, but gap has been filled, and we expect, our staff is meeting with the contractor and with DBOW to make sure everyone's on the same page with the plans, and that should be moving forward. So we have momentum. We're very thankful for the region's support in the form of Sally Cousins. What a surprise, helping us figure out how to make this happen. And then in the forest supervisor prioritizing this project above all others on the forest.
And you had at the rec committee, a point person kind of.
And we've assigned a point person. Marcus Nova is responsible for this project, and he is our primary contact on the Good Neighbor Agreement. So Marcus has been a good friend to the west side.
Well, and thanks to Jill's efforts, we did have DBOW at our rec committee meeting, and it sounds like they're fully on board and ready to roll their sleeves up, and
Yeah, I was happy. They're happy with the infusion of energy by the Forest Service into the process. So having Marcus assigned and having our new engineer seems to be making a good bit of difference.
Yeah.
So happy about that.
Okay, any questions, comments on Minersville?
Good job.
Building momentum. Okay. BLM. Wow, Tara.
Tara, can you take the phone?
You're here.
Your monopoly is over.
Oh my God.
Hey, hi, good to be with you all today. Up in person and see you all. For those of you who don't know, Jennifer Mata is still around, but she is on a temporary assignment down to the California Desert District. And boy, am I glad I don't work down there, hearing her phone calls all day. So glad I'm here with you guys. So I'm just filling in with Jennifer, or behind Jennifer, until about April. She'll be back. Other staffing updates. I think probably since the last time, always knock on wood, but we haven't had a lot of movement since then. We're still about 30% down from where we were this time a year and a half ago. Kind of BLM wide, and that holds true for our office also. So yeah, those are the kind of staffing shuffles. Oh, actually, we've had a huge one leave. Our planner, Chad, who I'm sure all of you worked with, he was great. He took a job in private industry. So now he'll probably be a contractor doing NEPA for more money. So that's a big loss for us. And it just means that our kind of project management ability is further limited.
And are you not able to refill him?
No, we're still under a hiring freeze, and I don't foresee any movement on that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But do you have money to hire him back as a consultant?
No, he's too expensive for us now. He told us his hourly. We were like, we're going to text you questions. And he was like, my hourly is blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, I don't have money for that. So yeah, big loss for us. But Alden is still around. He kind of was Chad's supervisor, and he's kind of taken on a lot of those responsibilities. We're looking at details. that sort of thing. The one kind of good staffing thing that shook loose recently is we are under a hiring freeze still, but we also had a personnel action freeze. So we weren't allowed to do official details, lateral transfers, duty location changes, or career ladder promotions. So people who had been hired on as a series, we weren't able to promote them on time. So all of that has been unfrozen, which is really, really good. It means all of the people who are filling in for people are getting paid to do that work and getting credit for doing that work. And then those kind of often career ladder positions are like our newer folks who we work them up into being full performance. Being able to promote them so that they don't leave is really critical too. So we're really happy about that. We're looking at options to fill some of these critical vacancies, but I want to temper any extreme hope, I guess. Some hope is good though. Cool. Any questions on the staffing stuff? Okay. On to project stuff. Oh, I guess I have one other staffing thing, which is some of you maybe have seen the traffic in the news about the U.S. Wildland Fire Service. So that is happening. All the DOI fire programs are being unified out of the individual bureaus or agencies and being unified under the Department of Interior in a new agency called the U.S. Wildland Fire Service. The first step of this is actually happening in, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They're stovepiping our fire program out of like our line officer control and stovepiping it like, our district fire management officer will then be supervised by the state fire management officer, who is supervised by the headquarters fire management officer. And then eventually that whole structure will get moved over under the U.S. Wildland Fire Service chief, who they've announced is Ryan Hennessy from Orange County Fire. I have no more details is kind of the stance I take on them. Like that is about as much as I know. They keep kind of trying to emphasize, especially to the on the ground firefighters, that their day-to-day shouldn't change that much. I think the biggest pressures will be on our admin staff and that sort of thing to actually figure out like, okay, who's responsible for tracking this money and these vehicles and that hiring and stuff like that is, I think, going to be the biggest hurdle, frankly. So this season on the ground, hopefully not much change. And then the other kind of big question mark, just for y'all's awareness, is, well, two. One is the fuels program. From everything we know now, the fuels program is moving with the fire program. So, fuels is still, in the first communication from Brian Hennessy, that was highlighted. So I think it will continue with the same amount of priority, but there's just a little bit of unknown from the field level about how that coordination and priority and funding and all of that will work. Particularly when it comes to our staff, our interdisciplinary team working on fuels projects. And now if that funding is removed from the field level, like how we will continue to fund that work. So I have no answers on the questions, I guess. And then the third piece, from what I've been told, I haven't seen this in writing yet, at least for this season, agency administrator authority is staying with our agency administrators. So I'm still a trainee, but Jennifer has our agency administrator authority, and she still would delegate authority to incident commanders, things like that. That is not a final decision, and that is something that I know Jennifer and our state office have been really working to communicate what that would mean if that authority left the field. So yeah, if anyone wants any more info on all of that, I'm happy to talk more about that. You know, yeah, that's all I'll say unless anyone has any questions on that.
Does that mean that the like the fire and fuel folks that are actually stationed out of your field office will continue to operate out of your field office, but they will be pretty much directed by this other entity?
Yes, that's my understanding. Yes, I think at the higher, like the district FMO up to the state FMO, they might pick up more authority in terms of kind of consolidating Park Service and Fish and Wildlife Service and BLM into one kind of authority in that way, but none of that has been worked out. I just know we have some critical vacancies in our fuels program right now, namely our state fuels planner, and that who fills that, I think will kind of, they'll be working more across the department, I guess.
Oh, Kenneth. Kenneth, you have your hand up?
Question. Yes, I do. Does this just apply, this wildfire agency, does this just apply to the Department of Interior?
Correct. So the kind of landscape is that there's an executive order about well, they're not saying consolidation, but there's an executive order that kind of included the Forest Service and DOI. I think there are some steps that are being taken in coordination, NWCG stuff to kind of address that. But then DOI got a secretarial order that is a little more impactful day to day and is going to move that, created that Wildland Fire Service. So DOI has that secretarial order. I will say the budget bills that are moving through the House and Senate right now kind of solidify that ag keeping their stuff and DOI keep doing their stuff, at least for now. Yeah,
that matches with what I saw, because I think that they put it into the appropriations bill that nothing would change until like an in-depth study, blah blah blah, lots of words.
Yeah.
So we're Forest Service is staying the way we are. Our fire staff is staying under the Forest Service and the Department of Ag. Their supervision structure may change, but that's to be determined.
How about
Anything
the
else?
forestry folks? Will they
Right.
how are they impacted by this?
They aren't.
Okay.
So that kind of eternal like separation between forestry and fuels that we're always like, it's the same thing, but it's different and there's different funding streams. That's going to be become even more of a gap here. Fuels and fuels work, fuels funding is still with the will be with the U.S. Wildland Fire Service, but forestry, timber, those authorities stay with the BLM. So, you know, we will have to be flexing our collaboration and communication skills.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it where there's been, say, a forestry project, a timber harvest that's followed up by fire. So, you know, they'll have to coordinate between, right? I mean, prescribed fire, that's usually a part of the ultimate goal of a forestry project.
Yeah.
To somehow be integrated.
Yes. And I think that's those questions about fuels moving with the suppression stuff is, yeah, how are we going to continue to work together and communicate on that? And what they're saying now is the like on the ground kind of service shouldn't change that much, but at these higher levels of coordination and administration, that's where the changes should be. You can decide for yourself how you think that will go. Okay. So then I have some project updates. Jennings Ridge, which is our next timber sale here, that I think a lot of you went on a field trip for. You've looked at the prescription. We are moving through NEPA. We're almost to the finish line on that. And we've submitted our request for concurrence from the U.S. See, this is also going to be difficult. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. It's the same letters as Wildland Fire Service, so it gets very confusing. But from Fish and Wildlife, we've submitted that, and we'll wait to get that back in the next month or so. Finishing up the NEPA. Just a note, I think we've told you all this before, but there'll be no public comment period on that. We had kind of going forward, unless there is a statutory requirement for a public comment period, our leadership guidance is that we won't doing public comment periods. That doesn't change the BLM's commitment to this group and sharing information. There just won't be formal comment periods. So if you have questions or concerns about that, let me know and we can work through that. But we'll continue to try to share everything as we're moving through the steps. The cruise is completed. They're working on the appraisal now. Hopefully we'll have it out for bid this spring. One kind of thing in the back of my mind was we had talked maybe last fall about field trip and things like that, and then priority got shifted elsewhere. We're open to it. We're happy to have folks out there again if we want to do another field trip. I kind of leave that up to you guys. We don't want to talk about it now or sure. Okay.
Yeah, I think, well,
We can bring it up under the field tour.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
We'll bring it up a little bit later in the agenda.
Okay. We have other forestry projects kind of in the hopper, namely a project by our Steel Bridge campground that will also include some hazard trees along Steiner Flat Road and hopefully Poker Bar Road also. We're kind of in the pre-planning resource survey stage of that, so more to come on that stuff. It will also include our campgrounds, hopefully. So I know there's been lots of discussion about campgrounds. Ours are already pretty sunny, I would say. But we can talk more about the campgrounds as we get stuff down on paper for that one. And then the other one I wanted to bring up is we're calling it the Helena project, past Junction City, to kind of tie in with the Forest Service Junction City project that's out that way. Hopefully we'll have a timber component and a large fuels component working with the Watershed Center on trying to figure out some of the resource surveys on that. But those would be the two kind of next ones after Chips Ridge. And then I just have some fuels updates. You know, we have all the pile burning going on in Weaverville Community Forest. Hopefully we'll get a good window to do the, what do they call them? Landing pile from the Oregon Mountain Timber Sale. And then they're burning out in Redding Indian Creek, pile burning out there. They're working in Hayfork on some project cleaning. The other update I have is for the RCD and our stewardship agreement. We're trying. One got approved in Arcata just the other day, so hopefully that means good things for ours getting approved soon. So we're just making sure that headquarters has all they need to approve us moving forward with that.
I did note that the funding that was still sitting within the automated invoicing platform basically did finally get absorbed, apparently. So it had been on there for months, but
okay.
So that I did note that just last week. So.
Okay, yeah, Alden is working on if that money kind of what that money was will determine if we can reinvest it or if it kind of disappears.
Gotcha.
The project that you're planning in the Hayfork area,
Can you give a specific location or is it just generally known?
I think it's the BLM lands in the Hayfork area. There aren't that many. It's mostly around Ewing Reservoir.
Okay.
But I actually haven't seen a map. The watershed centers that we gave the charge on that. So we haven't. We're still, I would say, very early planning stages.
Okay.
But more to come on that.
That's great because we have a project out there too. And if we can continue to do Junction City and Helena and we'll do something in Hayfork and you guys do something in Hayfork, that's just so much more effective.
Yeah.
And we've never been in lockstep like that. So I think that's fantastic.
Any other questions? Thoughts?
Thank you. Any questions? Not seeing any. Thank you again. Okay, before we go to Forest Service updates, you did get a brief reprieve there.
She's like 2 questions. That was awesome. I was like 2 questions.
But we do have a couple of participants that have joined us, I believe, subsequent to kind of our introduction. So Bobby, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Let me get I think I can get my video. There I am. Hi, everybody. Sorry, excuse me for joining late. I hope that wasn't disruptive. I was on a different call, but I'm happy to be here. I am Bobby Miller. I am Environmental Coordinator and Fisheries Program Manager out of the SO of the Shasta Trinity.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And then Monique.
Hey everyone, Monique Ray, Forest Partnership Coordinator. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you, Monique. Okay, Forest Service updates. I do not believe we have a Six Rivers representative, right? But we do have a.
Yeah, we have a report out. Kristen sent a report out kind of late last night and said she would not be able to be with us today. Staffing, no external hiring as Forest Service moves into reorganization to align with the budget. One area of relief will be that 1039 temporary hiring positions for recreation staff. I will be asking for 1 or 2 1039s to help with providing more service for OHV, youth conservation crew, and visitor engagement, front desk. On projects, not much new to report as work resumes after the holidays. Southwark Mountain is a little behind schedule for the new rigid NEPA timelines, and we are looking for, are seeking a 4-month extension, but specialist work is still on schedule due to new staff, both at Fish and Wildlife Service and the forest. Conversations were taking a little bit longer, so we needed the extension to account for that. And then while district staffing continues to be lean, reliance on our partners and the Forest Timber Strike Team has kept our program of work on track. That's about the extent of it.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'm not sure if we have any questions there. Don't see any hands. We are back to Tara.
I should learn from Kristen's take there. A little couple paragraphs and out the door. Okay. I'll run through this really quickly. So make a note and come back if you have a question. Jill, you've seen this before. It's similar to the notes I give to the board. It's a couple of little additions. Planning efforts continue on the Big Rounds Community Risk Reduction, about 40,000 acre project. Fish and Wildlife Service and the National Marine Fisheries have been on field trips to the project area. To be clear, Fish and Wildlife Service have visited the project area at least 4 times last year in 2025. And we have some more meetings scheduled for that as well. North Trinity County Risk Reduction Project planning continues. South Fork Mountain, as you heard, is under analysis and that work is continuing. The Watershed Center is making good progress on Junction City. They also hosted the Fish and Wildlife Service as well as National Marine Fisheries. And if you weren't aware, we actually have for all of our ID team meetings, the Fish and Wildlife Service is invited and attends all of our ID team meetings during the planning process. So that has changed in the last couple of years since I've been here. We invite them in from the beginning, and Devin and Christine often attend that. So certainly collaborating right out of the gate. Efforts to move forward are moving forward on the Weaverville fuel break. So that we're working with that on the RCD. Had a great meeting I think it was yesterday. I've been in this office all week. So that's going well. The Weaverville Community Forest Phase 2, that will be signed sometime this winter, so that some of that work will be authorized. One thing that's going to help us a lot is there's a new regional programmatic that's in the works for our compliance with SHPO. And if we're able to do more phased ARC surveys, that will help us, sign one decision and then just do the surveys before implementation. The national programmatic allows for that, but it requires a heavy lift to develop I think it's a heritage implementation plan, a HIP, and that's a whole nother set of work. So it kind of doesn't make it any easier. Weird, I know. Wildwood is in the planning stages with Trinity River Lumber. I see Trinity River Lumber is on. Do you guys want to add to that or give any kind of an update? Brian or anybody?
Yeah, we are still figuring out treatment areas and the total project area, but that's coming to a wrap, I think. Right around the end of this month and the beginning of February, we're going to have not a perfectly finalized project area, but a very solid understanding of the direction that we're trying to move with treatments. We've reached out to the forest to begin IDT meetings and to begin our pre-consultation with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
That sounds great. Thanks, Ren. And then I think I mentioned the Trinity Divide project being done by Sierra Pacific Industries. So that fuel break work is ongoing as well. All right, so fuels, prescribed fire has been underway around Ridgeville, Lake Forest Estates, Pettyjohn, and the Deep Fire area, as well as the Kellogg fuel break and August fire footprint. As of early January, we had done 825 acres. And this is probably a good time to plug this in. We're burning every single day this week and burning as often as we can up to the LOPs. So there may be some smoke impacts on the lake this weekend. I don't expect them to be extensive, and they'll be worse in the afternoons, late in the afternoons and the mornings based on the reports I got this morning. So, we're trying to get as much of the pile burning done as we can before LOPs. So far, I'm happy to report we did, as many of you are aware, use an emergency, I think it's an ESD on the High and Palm project, which limited the objection period and the alternatives we had to analyze. As a result, I'm happy to report we've already treated over 1,200 acres on High and Palm, and so that's been going really good. 1,800 acres have been implemented in the August fire footprint in the over the last 18 months. So we've had service contracts out there working. So that's been good. It sounds good until you put into perspective the August fire was 1 million acres. Yeah, I know. Okay, but we did, so chunk at a time.
1 acre at a time.
Yeah. The Bowerman project, the manual work continues on that field break. So we've got a bunch of piles built under agreements and contracts for that. Mastication work was completed by SPI, as you all saw on the Bowerman project. Underburn prep work is underway at the High and Palm Community Risk Reduction Project, and the burn plan is under development. So it'll be understory burning out at. Sorry if I go too fast, Heidi. I'll try to talk slower. I talk really fast. So High and Palm, we're working on the burn plan, and we expect to be doing probably this fall, start looking at some underburning opportunities out there, areas that we've already treated and that we've prepped. Fuels work is, as you know, is underway in the Peak North Trinity emergency area. Talked about that. We talked about burning every day there. Some of the work has resulted, some of our fuels reduction work has resulted in piles that are primarily manzanita. And I'm super happy to tell you we've reached out to our tribal partners who are interested in burning manzanita for their ceremonial purposes. So looking to get some of that material moved down the road to our tribal partners so that they can utilize it. And I'm really happy about that. Timber, Lemonade Springs is part of the West Side Plantations. It'll be repackaged and be sold later this fiscal year. We're waiting to see if it makes sense to combine some of that with the South Fork Mountain project or not. We had some problems with some road access as well as some slopes that we need to take a harder look at. Harvest, we talked about harvest. I'm not going to talk about Hayward campgrounds. We talked about that. We talked about Rainier and Long Canyon. Bowerman timber sale is expected to be reoffered. The pre-ad's been out. I have been getting feedback that we need to take another look to make sure we applied the prescription appropriately. It's very feedback from industry is that some of the units are very, very sparse. And so I think Cody and Xander are going to get together and go look at that. If we have any changes in the marking out there, where we mark any additional trees, I will get that information out to Kelly. We need to do a field trip. We can go out there and do that. Just know that some of the feedback I'm getting, and I need to, we're working at validating that and then seeing if we need to take any other steps to mark any additional timber. So obviously we want to we're going to stay within the prescription, but the word I'm getting back is that we're a little heavy there, and which is to be expected. Special uses, I would have 2 pages of special uses work if I were to report out on everything, from the camera to the washing station to houseboats. The requests we get from PG&E and Caltrans, those all require special use permits and usually some level of analysis by our planning team. So that's the work we don't talk about a lot in the veg, when we're talking veg all the time, but there's a tremendous amount of special uses. Outfitter and guides, there's a lot of work that we don't talk about in this group. Recreation, we talked about Minersville, hooray. That's all going really, really well. I'm super happy with the progress there. Our folks have been out working extensively on a lot of the west side campgrounds. We've had a very focused effort to clean up the campgrounds, address the hazard trees, improve the facilities, and they have been working really hard and very diligently to make everything better, from Pine Cove to Fairview to Hayward to all points in between. They worked really, really hard. We managed to get Burnt Ranch open last field season, which was the first time it had been open in a long time. So I'm super appreciative of our rec staff. 5-year program of work is its own agenda item, so I'll get to that in a minute. Roads, Dark Canyon culvert has been winterized for the season. The pipe has been exposed and will be ready for work to begin this next field season. So if you haven't seen that pipe, it's literally big enough to like drive a dump truck through. It's insane to me.
What's happening with it?
Well, it broke.
Oh, it broke.
It broke and it collapsed. It looked like a giant sinkhole. And so our staff went out and did a lot of the pre-work, did all the digging, got the pipe exposed, then got it ready to do work. And of course, then it's winter, so we had to winterize it. So now we have a contract. They'll come in and work on it this field season.
Do you ever remember we dealt with that with Bill Brock in the South Fork Crimp?
There you go.
Where's this pipe?
Dark Canyon.
Where's that?
In the South Fork.
It's on the
Way out there.
It's on the Wild Mad Road. Before you, like if you're headed towards Ruth on the Wild Mad Road, it's just before you get to the East Fork and South Fork crossing.
Okay.
Bridge.
It is a huge culvert.
It was a very large bottomless culvert to start with, and I don't know how. I'm not sure. I haven't seen what they replaced it with, but it was significant, and it just sort of collapsed into
fire heat or what?
No, it's like it got some kind of a failure on the top, like a rock hit it, and then it started to rust, and then I don't know. It just made a big hole. Okay. I've never seen a culvert that I don't know how they can call it a culvert. It looks more like a tunnel to me. It's mind-boggling. So we should get that work going. We have a new agreement with the RCD to facilitate road maintenance. So we're happy to have that funded and have that agreement in place with RCD. It was a very substantial agreement and funding. Again, want to thank the county for working with us on getting some roads rocked and doing some of that great work under the Good Neighbor Authority. If you aren't aware, we have the largest Good Neighbor agreement in the state. So it's not nothing. The Forest Service is aware. We understand the High and Palm Road is having some significant challenges. Want to give kudos to the county for anticipating that and working with our staff and the Good Neighbor Agreement to prepare an alternate route around where they thought it might slide. So that was prepped. But we'll be meeting with Heidi soon to look at potential longer term alternatives and solutions. So really appreciate working with the county on that and the proactive approach to have something ready if something did happen. on my program of work update, there's more implementation stuff I can talk about. We can talk about some of the road stuff.
Can I interrupt here before you get too far down the track? You
Sure.
talked about offering Bowerman and remarking it. I just want to red flag that we were very happy with the mark on Bowerman. I noticed that those units that we went to on the field trip have never been harvested, so I would be really concerned if that mark's going to get changed.
Understood, Larry, and that's I maybe I wasn't loud enough, but if we're going to change the mark, I would anticipate having the collaborative out there to take a look at the why and what the result was prior to selling anything. Does that work for you?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't believe that the collaborative group has seen the units that need remarking on any field trips in the past.
Okay, thank you. Again,
there was the units that were off of Bowerman itself were, I mean, those were great units. It was from at least our industry or the middle. It was stuff that was out Norwegian on top of Norwegian meadows that it just didn't look right. So.
You're right. The collaborative didn't see that part.
And just to be clear, since Fish and Wildlife Service is on, you would also be included in any adjustments that we made if it's an area you guys had looked at or you had extra concerns. I know there's something about Norwegian that Christine had in her notes, so we'll all look at it and see if we missed the mark or what we can do. So
lots of elk.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Tara, before you go on, I did just want to say, this is Rand talking. The work that's been done on the Heim Palm project, the Heim Palm community members have voiced a lot of gratitude. They're really happy with how it looks. I think it looks great myself. I have heard from a couple people their questions on, well, why doesn't the treatment just continue all the way down the road? And because it seems like it's kind of unitized, and I don't have really a good answer. I know that there's many different reasons why you unitize those treatments, but overall, everyone is very thankful and very happy with what's been completed.
Well, thank you very much. I know our staff have been out there and a lot of partners. The HOOPA has an agreement out there to help us do some implementation. And when I get to the program of work, some of our offerings this year will be the Heim Palm FMZ. The commercial aspect of that will be offered this summer as well. And as to the acres, originally the project was proposed at 24,000 acres, and we just couldn't. It's really hard to get, as we're learning on Big Ranch, to get all of that surveyed. So I think there will be a follow-up treatment. And then also there's some weird bits of IRA out there that are inventoried roadless areas where we can't have equipment. So anyways, and I think Larry mentioned that too. Why didn't you go all the way down the Heim Palm Road? So something we definitely need to look at. So staffing, I let the cat out of the bag. Ben has taken a new job. He's a district ranger on the Shasta Lake. And I'm currently lacking a deputy. Have definitely put in for one. So that's doing my best to keep up. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Fall fire hire has been going well, and the west side is expected to be very well staffed. There will be an additional hiring event coming up, and we're currently hiring fire temporaries, and there is the chance that we'll be able to hire some temp rec folks, which will help us augment our front desk staffing. We're one deep at each front desk, so if somebody's sick, in Weaverville, I've been very fortunate. A lot of our staff have taken the training so that they can cover the front desk. In Hayfork, I have less people to be able to rotate into that spot, so that's been a challenge. So having a 1039 that could help with those two front desks would be super beneficial.
Okay, we'll let her take a breath here. Any questions while she's regrouping here for the next one.
When you talked about a Weaverville fuel break, and I was trying to follow your previous notes. Is that synonymous with the Trinity Divide fuel break?
No, the Weaverville fuel break on my previous notes would have said like Weaverville Community Fuel Break, or let's see, what did I call it here? We've been, what's in a name, arose by any other name, smells just sweet.
We just finalized the naming convention on that. It was, the forest was frequently calling it the Musser Hill project, but it's
Weaverville Community Fuel Break is what I had referred to it, or Musser Hill in this case, but we're settling in on, say it like it is, Weaverville Fuel Break.
That's right.
Trinity Divide is the road going over between Trinity and Shasta County.
County line north.
Okay, thank you.
Great question.
Way far away from Weaverville.
Right, Tara, I am not seeing any hands, so. Not much of a break.
Oh,
there we go.
I did want to mention, this kind of popped into our heads later on after the conversation earlier about Lake Forest Drive, but we've hauled more than 4 times the volume that's in the unit on the Forest Service from our property down that road with no issues. Through our process, we get public comment as well, and the public comment that we've received has been about technical issues with lines that run underneath Lake Forest Drive, which never, we didn't have an issue with that, and I know that Sierra Pacific hauled a lot of volume down that road as well, so this isn't something that has never happened like Forest Drive before, and it will continue to occur into the future.
I think that's the gist of it, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for that comment.
Okay, you're up.
Are we on to me
5-year
yet?
plan? Yep.
Yeah. Do you have your 5-year plan ready? I mean, just. All right.
No.
Okay, so I sent Kelly, want to bring up the map since they all should have access to the spreadsheet. I apologize, you guys don't. I didn't bring a copy of the spreadsheet for you. This map is very, 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 very draft. I can't say very enough. It's a working paper. So many of you should have the spreadsheet that we sent out. So for 2026, and so let me give you the big picture. We did our program of work last time, our 5-year program of work about 1.5 years ago. On that program of work was High and Palm, and we did it. Bowerman was on there, that got done. So that feels really good. Big Ranch is on there and has been on there, and that's moving forward. You all are really familiar with that project. The North Trinity County project is on the map. It's been underway, but once we reached 1.5 years later, it's time to, now we're going all the way out to 2030. So you won't see a lot of big changes. I did add a project that we can talk about that we'll get to that. So in 2026, if you look at the spreadsheet and you go to the tab for 2026, Jill, I can send this to you. You probably got it from the collaborative.
No, it's not. I don't have it in spreadsheet form.
Oh, he made it a PDF.
I did it as
Perfect.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. So 2026, we have Big Ranch, about 40,000 acres. I'm still anticipating that we're going to sign that on at the end of June. Junction City is a community risk reduction. I've pushed that timing back a bit to 7/31. The reason for that is the category 6. We've lost that ability to use that CE category. And so we'll be working with our partners to find the right fit for that NEPA planning effort. I expect that to be somewhere around 4,400 acres, and they've been doing a good job. We believe that will switch to being an EA, but I'm not sure yet. Okay, 2026 also has South Fork Mountain, which you are all familiar with. We have a portion of that. I believe that's scheduled to be done the end of March. They had hoped for the end of the calendar year. You did hear in Kristen's update, it's been delayed slightly. So 4 months would actually put it to the end of April. So that maybe should be 4/30/26. Trinity Divide Forest Programmatic. Sorry, Trinity Divide is its own thing. with SPI. It's a fuel management zone up to 3,000 acres. That should be done, I believe, by the end of July. Sorry, there should be a 2026 in the forest programmatic and fuels. That's happening with the Klamath National Forest. Bobby, do you have any idea a tentative time when we're expecting that to come out?
They are on track for a decision in May.
So there you go. So thank you very much. Got to have the right people on the call with you.
You're doing great, Tara. You're amazing.
Yeah. And then the Weirville Community Forest Phase 2. That I'm expecting to sign for about 2,000 acres around May, end of May. So that's all the planning efforts tied to veg. Again, what's not on here, and Jerry brings it up, is letters to the file. It's small NEPA to do special uses. It's NEPA to do recreation. So none of that is on here. This is just our veg program. If you go to the map, you see Big Ranch there, and you can see Junction City. None of these are new. You should all be familiar with these. South Fork Mountain, Trinity Divide, that came out late last year. Wasn't originally in our program of work from 5 years ago, but came out when SPI got the funding to do the planning for those fuel breaks. And Trinity River Lumber, I haven't forgotten about you, I promise. Yeah, so all of those, otherwise that should all be things that you've heard about and are familiar with. So we can go to 27. We have the Weaverville fuel break. I expect that to be somewhere around 3,000 acres, depending on which authority we decide to use. And we're very early in the process. We're working closely with the RCD, and we have monthly meetings to keep that. This will be the RCD's first planning effort with us. So we're working closely with them and looking forward to getting them up to speed. That will result in it will have some timber in it, and that will result in a spa similar to what we did with Pilot, where the funding from the timber value will go back into our agreement with the RCD to keep them moving forward. We're moving right along with us and make them and the watershed center less susceptible to appropriations highs and lows.
Never quite got that.
Moving on to Crossroads FMZ. This is at the intersection of Highway 36 and Highway 3. On this map, it's going to say Highway 336. But I've determined that my boss doesn't like when you name them after highways. So it's going to be Crossroads. So that will be fuel breaks. And I'm looking to use the fuel break CE. And with Fish and Wildlife Service, we've been working closely with them to get a fuel break programmatic tied with for our consultation on fuel break, the fuel break CE. So that's where we're looking to use that. What I like about that piece of ground, if you look, you've got the highway and then the road that runs parallel. So we'll be able to use that as a feature to hold fire. And I think that'll give us a nice block there along the road. So that's why that area was chosen. Wildwood. And we can talk about this date with Trinity River Lumber. I've if you guys think you're in 26, that's fine. I could put you out kind of into November. We'll know more after we meet and see what that timing might look like. But November of 27, so early in fiscal year 27. Again, we're working on, it'll be forest health and all of the things that are in alignment with the white paper. Trinity River came to us and said, we're going to have a project that reflects the white paper, and that's what we're looking to do out there. So I'm looking forward to working with Trinity River on that. They were trying to get it done. Their goal, I think, last I heard, was to have it by the end of the fiscal year. But Ren and Brian, do you have any update on that? Are you okay with me putting you into next fiscal year, or do you want to get moved back up to 26?
Our goal is still the end of this fiscal year, but you could probably leave 27 on there. That's fine.
Okay. All right. And then Trinity Headwaters, this is mostly meadow restoration, and it'll be, the acres are really rough, Xander, but it's not going to produce timber, but it'll be fuels reduction and meadow enhancement up at the Trinity Headwaters, mostly on the not the Shmoo anymore, the Mount Shasta Ranger District. I think that there's some, they have some good tools in the NEPA toolbox that can help them get through that process pretty quickly. All right. We're in 2028 already.
Whoa.
How long was your meeting, Tara?
Whoa.
At least 5 years worth. Okay. 2028. That one go. Oh, it's Hayfork. The Hayfork Community Risk Reduction, that's what CRR stands for, Community Risk Reduction. It will be very similar to Big Ranch in size and in treatment. So I really want to make
Not gonna get it now. It's gonna be the map.
Okay. So it's going to be very similar to Big Ranch. So which is why I'm very interested in making sure that we get to something we're all happy with on Big Ranch, because I'd like to replicate it essentially around Hayfork. Sunny had asked me to extend that treatment over to Natural Bridge to make sure we were able to do some of the work there to protect that really historic feature. So we did that after he requested it. So it's large as well. And then connected back up to the Big Ranch project to give us some continuity. As you know, because you're all familiar with this ground, there's areas in there that have burned in the monument fire. There's areas that are green. There's areas, I mean, there's a little bit of everything, very similar to Big Ranch. I'm happy to report that we've started some of the botany surveys already, and that the wildlife surveys are set to begin this spring. So I'm super pumped about that. And again, it's this project is going to be designed very similar to Big Ranch. Did I make it to Peanut? I can't see on the map. Joseph, did I make it all the way over to Peanut? Can you scroll down a little?
Right there.
Peanut's right between the two. It's right here.
Okay, I'm surrounding Peanut. So, all right.
You can talk now if you want.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, and then Bear Wallow is a project for likely FMZ with the watershed center around 3,000 acres. So we'll be using one of the CE authorities there. Bear Wallow is out by Friend Mountain. Yep, there you go. You're doing great, Kelly. So we're looking to have the watershed center do that one. And then the Alps Safety Corridor is the next one for the RCD. And I think that's some of the pink. Says, yep, there it is. Down here, it's a little further down. Just wherever we don't get in North Trinity, you'll be picking up. There might be some missing. Again, that'll go up to 3,000 acres. So you should notice a trend that the Forest Service has a project to plan every year, the Watershed Center has a project to plan every year, and the RCD has a project to plan every year. That is how we're increasing our pace and scale on the west side. And we're taking the revenue from some of these projects and then investing it back into these agreements. Here's my last page. Oh, it's right there. What year are we in? 2029? 2030? Falling from the fishing. Stand by, I lost a couple of years here. See, maybe I did them all. 20.
You're at 29 on East Lake.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't know where 30 went. 30 is here it is. I found it. Don't worry. I found 2030. Just hiding right in plain sight. Del Loma for is a 18,000 acre project, and after working diligently, Nick and I talked about this. By this time frame, we think that the Watershed Center will be able to take on one of these larger EAs. So we're going to line that up for them, realizing it might take them a minute to get through the process with that many acres. And that's designed to have treatments up to along the roads and soften anything coming out of the wilderness. So that's, you know, I left one off of here and we'll get to it. Post Mountain, I have is similar to Big Ranch and Hayfork. And that will be done by the Forest Service, Community Risk Reduction. And then looking at maybe some northern plantations for the RCD, another CE that they could probably crank out. And there's enough plantations tucked around up north that I think that we could be effective there. One project we didn't talk about, and I don't want to skip it because it's one that is not on, it's an FY29, it's not in Trinity County. There might be some of it in Trinity County. If you drop down all the way to the south, you'll see the Yola Bola project. This was impacted by the August fire and has not seen any management out there in forever. A lot of our range allocations are out in that neck of the woods, as well as some main forest roads. So we're looking at treating the Yola Bola area as well. I wouldn't expect this to be quite as intensive as inclusive, I should say, as Big Ranch and Hay Fork and Post Mountain, but more roads and plantations. So FMZs and plantations probably, and some restoration because it was hammered by the August fire. The goal again is, you can see, and I can tell you too that the ranger on the Stony Ford district, thank you. I'm like, what is to the south of that? He started at the north end. Curtis Coots, if you didn't know, is the ranger there. He was the IC on the Peak Fire. And he started at this north end and is working his way down, trying to deal with hazard trees and do fuels reduction. So this is an effort to kind of tie in and to some of the work that he's doing on the Mendocino and really kind of have that buffer along that wilderness as well. Okay. Any questions? Again, this is very draft. I'm certainly open for comments. There's probably something we may have missed. There's no lack of important places to go on the west side of the Shasta Trinity and on the forest as a whole. But wanted to give you, so we started off a year and a half ago under a different administration talking about we want to aim our treatments around communities in Trinity County. And I wanted to show you that we are indeed continuing that trend, that we're aiming our treatments around Trinity County, around the communities with, you know, the ALP safety corridor. One of the things that keeps me awake at night is every time we get a fire in the wilderness, trying to make sure I can get those people out of there safely. And so having that treatment along those roads is along that public safety vein as well.
So what is the Trinity Trico roads?
Did I skip that one? See?
Yeah, you missed 29 completely.
29, that's what happened. Let's go over 29, let me find that one. Trico Roads is with the RCD, I think, 30. I don't know how they got split up like this. So let's just look at the map then for 29. Oh no, here it is. 29. There's an East Lake project with the Watershed Center. Probably about 2,800 acres, FMZs and things. So that's up north and east of the lake. I don't know that that's on there yet. Yeah, that's an update to the map. So I apologize, it's not on there. It's something that when the Headwaters project got smaller and really focused on just meadows and restoration, it lost some of that East Lake ground. And so we moved the East Lake into its own project.
It's this right here.
No, that's different. The
It's
Trico
up, it's
roads.
up north.
The headwaters.
Yeah, like where that, see where it says Trinity Headwaters, that's now gonna be really focused up in the Mount Shasta district. And then some of that ground down there will be that East Lake project. Thank you. That was helpful. I haven't gotten that edit in with Brandon yet. Okay. And then the Yola Bola project, that's why I was like, oh, why didn't I? Now it makes sense. I skipped a whole year. And then Trico Roads for Trinity, which is short for Trinity County Roads, with RCD to focus on around Rush Creek, around Trinity Dam Boulevard, and taking in some of those roads to make sure that those
I
FMZ.
don't know just how to do this. Okay. It's on any time.
Yeah, the map showed FY29 up by north.
You had a Mount Eddie
Yeah, Mount
project?
Eddie.
That's not me.
Oh,
That's
that's
not
not
you.
Shasta.
There's a bunch of stuff up there that's
Oh.
I can't take on anymore.
No,
So this is the forest map.
This is outside the county.
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
Your Trinity County Roads was Rush Creek and what else?
Rush Creek, Trinity Dam Boulevard,
Oh,
and then any other ones that you
Yeah.
guys identify that, you know, we could lump in there.
got it.
And we could work with you on.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot around Lewiston already. And so I was just thinking like, you know, especially as an RCD project, like there's private basically between the BLM and the Forest Service, and seeing as I drive down that road, that's what really jumps out at me is like the BLM's looking real good, but then you go to the private,
It's screwed up.
it's very obvious. So just a thought, especially as, you know, that's in the Forest Service kind of plan of work and we can maintain along those roads. Thanks. Just a thought.
Yeah, we could definitely, once we get our part treated, we can start looking at under burning instead of always pile burning and also get NCRC involved to try to address those private lands.
Well, thank you, Tara. A lot of info there.
Probably I'm taking 2029 off.
I guess.
Okay.
So you're gonna take a break that year.
I did have maybe, I apologize, there is one more tab. And I'm not gonna go through it. I just wanted to give you some idea of the scope of work that we're implementing. If you go to the implementation tab, these are things that we're doing this year. WCF Phase 1, Westside Plantations, Trinity Camps, High and Palm, Harrison. Wow. The Harrison Gulch Station. See, you can tell when the ranger's typing. Ewing Reservoir, Natural Bridge, August Phase 1, August Phase 2, Stafford Fire, Rainier Long Canyon, Petty John, Car Delta. We're still working out their pilot. I wanted to make sure Heidi and Jill, the 16, the 47, and the 60 roads are going to have work. They're under, the 16 is already under contract. We'll be doing some repaving and repairs that were associated with the monument fire. We had that money, and our engineers are getting that road work underway this summer. So we're pumped about that. We talked about the Lake Forest Road, talked about Developer Rec, and also Bowerman. And then I have one more. McFarland will have fuels reduction going on, and then we have the constant PG&E hazard tree mitigation. And then NEPA dependent, we still have South Fork Mountain, North Trinity County, Big Ranch. And I have to get out and I should have done this by now, but I haven't evaluated the Cedar Fire, and I need to because it's right in and around Post Mountain. So I'm a little behind on that. Brother.
All right. Any questions for Tara? Carol.
So,
take notes. I'll get a notebook out.
I'll get you next, Joseph.
This is feedback on the.
We'll go to Carol first.
Yeah,
wondering where the Forest Service is with planning with the PUD's wildfire, their RAP project.
That is an EIS that is third party, and they are scheduled to get us they made some adjustments to the draft, and we're waiting to get the updated draft back.
Okay.
I can maybe provide an update from what I know, which is the private land is essentially there's not a CEQA component anymore. I think. And the private land will be covered. I think they're still going through the approval processes on this, but will either be covered under timber harvest plans or covered under Newsom's emergency proclamation.
Which made it so they didn't have to do CEQA.
Right, so no CEQA. So yeah, WAPA is still the federal lead agency.
I expect that to be.
To have a lot of my time taken up by that coming forward. So yeah.
So they're supposed to be getting more information back to you guys.
Yeah, I'm waiting to get the most recent draft. We haven't seen that yet. They have to make some revisions.
Yeah.
We'll go to Joseph.
But that's a good point, Carol.
That's a lot of work.
Tara, a question for you about the timber sale contract. Is that set in stone by some other part of the agency, or would you have input to what goes in the timber sale contract? I'm thinking specifically about how the white paper might be integrated so that the contractor and the sale administrator has a better grasp of what we would like to see on the ground.
Right. So, yes, I have some, there are some, it's a really complicated question. There are standard provisions that go into every contract, and those are standard, those commit, but there's also a very specific, contractual language that the local district, and when we're prepping a timber sale, we have, influence in saying what those look like. In addition, we have unit cards that are supposed to accurately relay the information based on the intent of the NEPA, which should be in alignment with the white paper, into the unit cards. And those are utilized by the sale administrator And typically they even provide those to the purchaser. So I think especially as we move into D by P, there's a lot of room to improve that part, Joseph, because this is a new thing for us. We used to just have to make sure our marking crew knew which trees to harvest and how that should look. And I think that there's room for us to have different levels of communication, probably more with the purchasers, which is to make sure we're all on the same page. And that's not before any timber sale starts, they have a pre-operations meeting to go through the provisions, to go through the intent, to do all those things. But I think there's room for us to focus more on some of the intent conversations at the pre-op meeting, so that we make sure we're all on the same page out of the gate. So I think as we learn and grow and do things differently, using different tools in the toolbox, that we have to kind of front load a lot of those communications to make sure we get the end results related to the white paper and the NEPA that we're looking for. That was a really long answer, so it's a little bit of both. There's some stuff I can't change, but there's a lot that I can. But the piece that's missing maybe is just a different level of communications in the pre-op, instead of always just to the contract, to the contract, to the contract. Now we got to talk big picture about what are we really trying to accomplish out here, so that we're all on the same page. It's a very timely and good question, Joseph.
Okay,
Well, thank you.
we have Skylar. Get your hand up.
Hi, thank you. I was wondering, for the staff that attend the Fire Safe Council meetings, if this map could be shared at next week's meeting?
It's very, 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 very draft. I will get the map as soon as I can. I can't even speak to it's a whole forest, so I can't even speak to what the other rangers, how finalized their program is. We're right in the process. We started like in October of like, here's where we think we're going to go. Rachel's like, have you talked to your partners? Everybody make sure you talk to all your partners. So then we share this information out. I talked about this briefly at one of our previous meetings. So we're working through. When I get to a final, I will 100% share it with you, as for the Fire Safe Council and for the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. We'll make sure that's being shared.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
As expected, we've had a long morning. Yeah.
Behind
Sarah's had a long morning. We should probably bring some water for you too. So yeah, we need to kind of wrap this one. I don't know if we need to. I think you've already commented on Big Ranch, right? On your process.
Just that we will have. There'll be a 2-week. Here's my plan. We're gonna have a 2-week draft. You'll get to see the draft EA, which under the new rules we don't necessarily have to do. But we are going to share the draft out for a couple of weeks, because I don't want to blow up the timeline. I have, we want to get busy implementing. I will get that out to you well in advance. Then I would like to schedule a meeting with you, an extensive meeting with you, to go over. I want to hear every concern, everything. And do you have the process thing lined out for this one? So that at the end of the day, I will know whether the collaborative supports the project or does not support the project. Because right now I feel like we collaborate a lot, and I think that I'm on the same page as you, but apparently I wasn't. And so I want to make sure that we over communicate on Big Ranch and we get into the weeds and roll up our sleeves. So I don't know how the collaborative wants to structure that, about who's at the table, how we do it, but I don't care if it's an hour or if it's 12 hours. I want to
How about if we agendize that? Is March doable as far as the timeline, or do you need that?
Yeah, when would you like to have that meeting?
The draft. What you're asking me is, Bobby, are you still on?
Yep, she's there.
Yes. Bobby,
I am. I just dared to multitask while you were talking. What was the question?
When do we roughly, because I can't swear to it, we're in the planning process. When do we think the draft will be ready for us to release for that 2 weeks?
I just looked at that myself. Mid-May. So right now in the timeline, we have like May 15th to May 30th for that 2-week period. And I think we're gonna make it. I think we'll get there.
So March works.
Yes, to go over the
Okay.
process of how, what that might look
So we
like.
get that agendized and have a more in-depth discussion about our process. And I think we may even want to revisit some of our bylaws in the collaborative, because there's some process things that I think we've
Who gets to vote and all
right.
that stuff.
We've not really been following some of those, procedures.
And the whole process of what has to go to the Board of Supervisors.
Right.
Because that, they only meet twice a month and creates timing issues.
But I think what I'm hearing Tara say is she through this process, at the end of it, she would like the collaborative to be more on record as to, do we have, approval to go forward? Consensus, all that. So we don't want to get into that now, but we'll get that on the agenda for March and get that all lined up.
That'd be great.
Very good.
And
Okay.
to that, Jim, if I could just quickly, I just heard rumblings, different places that, that could never happen because the board only meets twice a month and 30 days, all that. There are things called special meetings.
There you go.
And they work.
You'll help us.
And I will help you navigate that.
Awesome. Very good. All right. You are officially off the hook there, I think. Okay, we do not have a whole lot of time, so I would ask our other partners updates to be as succinct and to the point as possible. So I don't know that we need to hit rec committee, right?
Yeah, we covered most
I
of
think
it.
we covered that.
Talked about last.
So you're up, Kelly.
Yeah, can I ask Gracie to go ahead and give us a little report on what we're currently working on and what we'll be working on soon?
Yes, so we have contractors and in-house crews working on the Trinity camps and Bowerman units right now. And then I met with the fuels office and the Forest Service, and we're planning on shifting some of our funding due to project areas already being treated over to the fuels reduction units in the EA around Long Canyon. And then that's pretty much it for now in the short-term future.
Okay. Do you want to just speak to like we've put pretty much all of our crews are back to work essentially.
Yes. We're also helping the Forest Service burn out in Petty John for the next 2 weeks.
So how many crews is that?
Four-person crews. We're short 2 folks that decided they wanted to take a little time, but otherwise we've got pretty much all of our force.
Cool.
Almost pretty much all of our fuels crews are back on board right now and working actively, as well as the contract work that's happening as well.
Yeah.
Great. Very good. Skylar, do you happen to have anything you want to report out from the RCD side?
I think only thing for this group is working with Gracie and the county to schedule pre-treatment around the Hobel dump. So our environmental document is finalized and we're currently working through permissions and scheduling. So that is happening. Saw that mentioned in Fire Safe Council minutes from 2020. It's happening. I'm excited. Woohoo.
What does pre-treatment mean?
So sitting around the dump site and preparing piles, because we are hoping to get in within the next month or 2. Gracie, you're off camera, so I can't see your face, but and then the piles can cure for a season, and then we can do burning hopefully in the fall. So we have one more fire season before we can do pile burning.
Right. So you're talking about the property, the county-owned property around the dump, that 15 acres. That's not the dump itself; it's the periphery. Yay! Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Great, thank you, Skylar. And as Tara mentioned earlier, we're moving forward with the Weaverville Fuel Breaks project. Pretty much have ourselves scheduled out for the foreseeable future and moving that project forward. So I won't really elaborate too much on that. I did want to highlight too, Tara also mentioned this in her report out, that we have a significant project doing road maintenance essentially, both on the Shasta T side, but also a significant additional project with Six Rivers doing similar work on the Six Rivers side of things. And that actually extends, I've been in contact with the Humboldt County RCD because some of the work that they're asking us to do on the Six Rivers side is outside of the county. Gasky being kind of like some of the furthest
Holy cow.
areas that we're working in. But also Dinsmore area and some of the areas in the Mad River Ranger District that are just outside of our county jurisdiction. So I've been coordinating with Humboldt County RCD on that. Skylar, one thing I would ask, do you want to talk a little bit about CWDG with regard to our partnering with the Humboldt County RCD and potentially our own CWDG?
Yes. So in November 23, we entered into agreement with Humboldt County RCD for the Greater Willow Creek Community Wildfire Defense Grant or Wildfire Resilience Project. And so Greater Willow Creek area encompassing Willow Creek in Humboldt County, and then also Salyer and Hawkins Bar in Trinity. So in the 24 implementation season, we targeted properties around Hawkins Bar, so primarily Trinity Village and Susie Q Road. And then last year, and this is all in-house, was in Hawkins Bar. And then last year, we contracted with the Watershed Center, who has been doing roadside treatment along South Fork Road in Salyer. And then last year, we did some treatment around a Salyer community border, as well as other priority areas in Salyer. So all the project areas were identified through the Community Wildfire Protection Plan, and it's been a great project to work with Humboldt County. So it's more continuous since it's both sides of the county line. And then we recently, I think August is when we executed for another Community Wildfire Defense Grant agreement, but this one is housed under the Trinity County RCD. So we're calling it the Downriver Community Wildfire Defense Grant or Community Resilience Project. And so it was created to be complementary to Shasta Trinity's Big Ranch project. So targeting, again, Community Wildfire Protection Plan priority project areas between about Burnt Ranch to Big Bar, Big Flat. And so we have several partners that helped us plan and submit that project application. We worked with representatives from the Sinungwe, Norel, Mukwintu. I believe Corral Creek Timber is also written in and supported project application. And so we're pretty excited about that. Oh, Willow Creek Fire Safe Council as well. We're very excited about that project, but right now we're determining what our environmental compliance pathway is going to be. So that project was delayed, provided some of the government shutdowns and some of those other delays. So we entered into agreement about 6 months to a year later than we anticipated. So this year we're going to be focusing on environmental compliance and community outreach with, optimistic timeline being that we start implementation next year. So right at the start of that, but very excited.
Great, thank you, Skylar. Two other little quick things. One, Gracie was alluding to needing to shift around some acreage under our CAL FIRE Forest Health agreement. And I know that with the closeout of our last agreement and then the creation of this one, we had set aside a fair bit of funding for Trinity Camps. And since a lot of that's being completed already by your efforts, the intent, I think, one of the things we weren't able to accomplish in the last round was some of the work that we had planned in the Weaverville Community Forest. So I think we're going to shift some of the Trinity Camps funding so that we'll have, we talked about this on Wednesday, but then in talking with Gracie a little bit about it, her idea was that we could shift some of that funding to the Community Forest WCF Phase 2 project area to get some of that work done here locally.
That sounds great.
And then the other and then just one last fun little partnership opportunity. You had mentioned some of the working with some of the tribes. The Nuralmuck-Wintu had asked us to if we could provide poles for some of their ceremonial practices, and so we're going to be providing poles for their teepees and things like that off of some of the cutting that we're doing and some of the projects that we're currently working on. So,
Are they on National Forest System lands?
It's
okay if they are, but you let me know and I can just write it up and then they can have them free of charge.
I don't remember
do that with the tribe.
where's in that.
Speaking, yeah, out at East Fork,
So
yeah, so that works out great. And we had great success working with the Watershed Center, as I told you guys earlier, about trees with root rods going to the tribe and then using those for restoration. So just let me know and I can make it so.
Okay, we'll do that. Cool. And report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Kelly and company? Okay, Xander, are you prepared to give a Watershed Center report? Is he still with it?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at it here. Yes, things that I've been working on. Tara touched on briefly the Junction City project. We had to change our NEPA strategy again, category 6 for categorical exclusion is no longer available. So we're kind of looking at strategies for what to do there. We have the footprint of the project area essentially completed. And so we're looking, hopefully to be able to do the outreach process within the next couple of weeks. Aside from that, I think we're hoping to start on some private lands implementation in Hyampom under both our Forest Health Grant and Community Wildfire Defense Grant this winter, late winter. And access is kind of tenuous with the road slide down there. Aside from that, is Shay still on? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, I think that's what comes to the front of my mind. Anyone have questions?
Thank you, Xander. Any questions for Xander? Not seeing any. Okay, thanks. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Jen, I believe you're it. I believe we lost Devin a while back. Do you have something for us, Jen? Maybe multitasking?
Sorry. Nope, I'm not multitasking. I am. Let me, I was grabbing my lunch. So give me just like 30 seconds. I'll be back to my office.
Okay.
Can I have one go back?
Go back.
Okay. I forgot to mention, I mentioned this to the rec subcommittee, but next week I'm looking to sign the Weaver Creek restoration. Thank you. My brain's a little slow. It's lunchtime. That project. Several folks on this call made comments, particularly concerning the herbicide use. Before I signed the DR, my plan was to talk with each of you kind of individually and let you know what's going on with that. But ultimately, we've modified that EA to better address some of the comments that you guys brought up. But ultimately, haven't signed it yet, but the decision is going to be to use very limited herbicide in very specific areas, working with the UROC, who has some experience on the Klamath River restoration out at Old Copco, using similar methods that was really, really effective in making sure that these restoration projects don't just become fields of weeds. So I'll be in touch with some of you here shortly next week about that. If you want to get in touch with me, I'm happy to talk with
All right, thank you. Okay, Jen, you're up.
Okay, and I just saw that Devin put in the chat some updates, but I can just read through them and then let me know if you have any questions. So again, we have not too many updates, but in terms of staffing, we're in a similar for you situation as BLM. So we are not able to do hiring, but we can do lateral transfers, those kind of situations. We don't have any listing updates. In fact, a lot of the listing determinations like pond turtle, we've heard now that they are being, I guess, lack of better words, tabled for at least the next year. Things are not going to be, my understanding is listing determinations are not going to be expected to be posted in the Federal Register. They're on this kind of long-term hold with this current administration. So unfortunately, that's all I've got on listing. So then Derek Harvey's working with the Forest Service on Big Ranch project design. They had a really great field trip at the Junction City project on middle of December. And then North Trinity County, we talked about a little bit. Devin says we have some semi-final maps and prescription info for the larger project and are pleased overall with the early streamlining. I've heard really good discussions and comments about the relationship that's been built and the collaboration that's been between our office and the Shasta County on that. But with that one, consultation is still months away. And then emergency consultation has been started for the peak fire response for Long Canyon. We talked a lot about that at the beginning of the meeting. We don't have any of the materials though. I know that we don't have like maps, prescriptions, a preliminary BA yet. So we don't have that yet to complete the consultation, but we're still in communication with the Forest Service about obtaining those materials. And then he put his email if anyone has specific questions for Devin. Otherwise, I can try to answer any questions right now.
All right, thank you, Jen. Any questions for Jen? Okay, I think we all must be getting hungry. All right, thank you. Thule, you ready to go?
Yeah, thanks. I'll try to keep it short. If there's any questions, just ping me. Let's see. First of all, the governor's budget was released last Friday. That's kind of the first stab at what the state budget's going to look like for starting July 1st, 2026. So we were happy to see the budget forecast is looking better than it was thought to be looking in November and December. So S&C's funding looks pretty dang stable at this time. There's always a lot of change between the January governor's budget and the final budget that gets approved in late June. But we're hopeful at this time. Most of our future funding, like for grant rounds, is currently held up in the Proposition $4. There's a process hiccup in that. It's just been delaying the rollout of those funds. We did see legislation introduced last week that is intended to kind of speed up the rollout of those. So we're tracking that. It's going through the state assembly right now. It'll be through and then head to the Senate after that. So we're hoping within a couple months we'll have better concept of when we can roll out our Proposition $4. With that in mind, we do have about $15,000 in our wildfire and forest resilience funding that we anticipate to be able to utilize in that fund. We have about $40 million in our landscape investment program funding. So both those pots of money, we're just kind of waiting on the timing of the legislation that was introduced last week, and we'll know more. But and then we did just recently run a recreation round of funding for the remainder of our Prop $68 and got a great proposal from Trinity County, from the Watershed Center, and the Rec Collaborative informed on. So looking forward to, we're working through final proposal and evaluation in March. So we'll know more down the road. But Tara, thank you for sharing your program of work. That's super helpful for us as we kind of think about landscape investment strategies and looking across our region. It's super fantastic to see the collaboration between all parties and increasing pace and scale. That's impressive given your guys' staffing, but also speaks to the collaboration and support that the RCD and the Watershed Center all provide. So great effort by all. So and then last thing is board did approve the meeting schedule for this next year for our governing board. So we will be in Trinity County in June. So June 3rd and 4th, it's a Wednesday, Thursday. I've pinged a couple of you guys with save the dates, but I'll be reaching out now that it's official to try to get some ideas for, we do a field tour the first day and then a just business meeting the second day. So look for a little bit more from me on that. And I appreciate everybody. If you've got ideas, definitely let me know. So yeah, happy to take any questions, but thanks for all the work you guys are doing.
Thank you very much, Thule. Any questions for Thule? Okay. We are almost there. Concluding business. Do we have anything, Kelly?
No, I think we'll cover sort of, I think some of the discussion that we've had up to now, just to elaborate just a little bit on that process that we were referring to earlier, would really have to do with ending up with something that this entity will basically be forwarding on project support to the, for letters of support to the Board of Supervisors. So we can be thinking about like what that looks like and how broadly we'll have support within the group for projects moving forward in a formalized fashion. So I just wanted to kind of let people know that those sorts of discussions are happening on our side. And that's what kind of the intent of that would be.
Right. And that'll be part of that discussion item in March for Big Ranch. It's kind of a template maybe for going forward.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Field tour planning. So we're looking at February. You see on the agenda there, Indian Valley restoration kind of tour versus presentation. So I believe Josh kind of offered that up at the last meeting.
I did talk to Josh and they would be willing to do that. That was a suggestion that Bob Morris had made, since we frequently don't have like actual like in the field tours. We don't see weather like this in December and February typically. So that was a suggestion, but it's a matter of whether or not, collectively we would want to set that up. Josh had, thought that he could definitely put something together with a little lead time. So if we want to pursue that, we can.
I do want to add, Pilot has a couple of units that are complete. So if you did go see that, it's adjacent to Pilot. So you can maybe see some of the units that were completed on Pilot. Also, BLM offered up Jennings
Ridge, I have that. And then, obviously Rainier, Long Canyon, that was another Bob Morris suggestion, but that's kind of on hold or pending. And then
the LLPs go into effect as of February 1st. Is that correct? So right. Operations will be complete by and large at that point, or
they'll be done. I'm not sure because of the weather we had. So we do allow hauling during the LLPs for if we have things that are decked because it doesn't meet that disturbance threshold. But yeah, we won't be cutting or harvesting after February 1st or on February 1st.
Hey, this is Jerry. I think it'd be great to see something happening on Pilot after all these years.
Maybe have Josh's as a backup in case it's like snowing or pouring down rain or.
Well, they're literally adjacent to each other.
Yeah, they're real close.
Yeah. Okay.
The only reason I think originally it was like if the weather was bad, we could
do an in-house presentation. That was kind of the.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's got a slideshow or something he could do in-house that we wouldn't need to go out and see it. Yeah.
We can, I think, maybe we'll plan for that as far as a field tour to go and see Pilot.
Yeah.
See if there's a nexus with getting out to Corral Creek for that same tour, and if the weather isn't cooperating, we can pivot.
Okay.
That sound like a plan?
Does that work for everybody?
Works for me.
Okay. And then agenda building. So basically, I've got the Big Range process that Kelly alluded to here just a few minutes ago. Anything else that we want for next meeting's agenda?
The usual suspects.
Yeah, everything else will carry forward for the most part. Not hearing anything, not seeing anything. So again, as always, if ideas come up, you can always email Kelly or I, and we can make sure that gets on there. So, okay. I think we did it. Thank you all for your patience and your participation and contribution today. It was a very robust agenda. So again, thank you for your patience, but I think we got there.
Yes,
So
I have it on my calendar.
have a great afternoon and a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Usually are better.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Bring your laptop.
Thanks, all.
you.
Yeah, well,
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.